I love the thing you listen when you talk for me. Everyone's gonna take the love from me. Yeah, just forever you can't drop it. Nation bush lad, I sing harmony. Love style, no feel like bad, but me read a song, tell myself me alright, mama fuck. Yo, Josh. When the emotions are passed through you, one prayer heal all those wounds. Just remember that Jah feels your pain. Jah feels your pain. Skies not blue, my native don't give up. Yes. Just remember that Jah feels your pain. Yo, Josh. I teach me something make me not trust a lot. Me not trust me car so me figure trust a shot. Can't find someone my friend them make a know but not believe me say it was a lot. I don't trust friends, I don't trust family. I am chosen. Me no love like simile. Me only trust the bank and God. Only trust the bank and God. Me only trust the bank and God. Yeah, only trust the bank and God. Me only trust the bank and God. 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 What you do tell when you are buying, you be more careful. Do you can find enough. I know anybody pour my drink, I know anybody buy my dinner. So I teach us enemy, I teach us a friend, just your friend. Me nah lie, me love me family, but me not trust you all again. All of them, my tongue, but that's how me feel. Big up and rule, cause up a sunny hill. All of me long time brother from Ditchfield. Long time petrol, them a whole heap on the battlefield. Some of them a feel with grudge. My dogs are the real last dogs, and my heart clean. Feel with love, and me dedication, talk like that. Send me a soul, leave with them, say the whole of them and go for the song, them and send for the chalice. Them does a watch me like a radio analyst. Hold me and stop it, remember me tell you this. In the music I like, in Seneca. Them are the Seneca. None of my ring no regular. Man sing, they no good like Predator. Never you give up in your life. Never you give up in your life. Give up on paper. That's a time for never you give up in your life. Yeah. Never you give up in your life. Never you give up in your life. That paper. Shine your light and never you give up. Yeah, friendship me no want them work. As long as me happy, that's how I really want. Now I run down long life, me rather rich fast. Enjoy fun, you don't buy some car. And fear that's why you talk, and fear that's why you talk. You don't know about my life, you didn't know about this car. When you tell me that's why I get to you. I make your friend tell you see me up, yeah. Hey, one of my guys said, don't call me here. We leave a cup and million, but I see I be here. But she want me push you, never want that she tell you something. You make your friend tell you see me up, yeah. Hey, one of my guys said, don't call me here. We leave a cup and million, but I see I be here. But she want me push you, never want that she tell you something. Sushi up, you're put it up. When you're back it up, spread it up, come along. I'm like a woman, love the one like a long ago. See your future with me and show me if you get the gun for the no one can stop it. Cause we see when them crossing. We have a lifetime of love. A lifetime of love. Joy together. No one can stop it. We have a lifetime of love. A lifetime of love. I'm feeling some kind of day. Tell you love and I feel love. If you left, if you go mad, tell me you really want to let me all. If you go full attention, you want me done. You know I'm playing the game of complication. I'm going to pour it up and it's full out. You come to the love, sleep on the floor. When man knows what to love, no one can stop it. God, we see when them crossing. We have a lifetime of love. A lifetime of love. Joy together. No one can stop it. We have a lifetime of love. When man no used to love us for them matter. Them no used to love us for them matter. Yeah. You're good. Yeah. Tell me if we must stand here. When you lie to you, what the rock you never put on count for me. Don't for me can't show. You know me never stand here. When you lie to you, this rock you never put on count for me. You know me can't show.
OMG in the morning. Morning.
All right, Shady. I hope you got it out of your system. I realize you wanted a little party this morning. Did you?
Really? So,
Yes, so
I
you're
think I
taking
got
advantage. I don't mind. I offer you playing your music anytime you're ready. Just let me know. I also got to let you know about District Stairs. You got to check them out if you're looking to update your floors. District Stairs can provide you with an affordable alternative luxury vinyl plank. It's a new hot trend in flooring design. It's easy to install, durable, has a lifetime warranty, comes in a wide array of colors. It's also suitable for every room in your home. And just now, Shady will be able to give a little testimonial as to how good it is because he say he doing his floor, right, Shady?
soon time.
All right, ask about the free shipping that they've got going on during the month of August. That's to SVG, of course. You can contact District Stairs on WhatsApp at 289-200-7649. You can check them out on their website at districtstairs.com or you can search District Stairs on Facebook. Also got a message for you from Max Pizza. They're introducing Vinci Pizza delivery every Friday. You can place your order from 10 p.m. on Thursday via WhatsApp. You can call or you can send a message 528-1849. You can place your order between 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. or you can call the restaurant between 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. and that number is 458-3474. All orders will be delivered by a Max representative the following Friday at the wharf at 5:30 p.m. upon the arrival of Beckway Express. And right about now, we're live on Facebook. Good morning to everybody on the live. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. You can be a part of the evolution on air. You can join us online. You can follow us on all our social media platforms. That's Facebook, Instagram, and of course, YouTube at Boom SVG 1069. And of course, we are also on
Twitch.
Jeez.
I'm trying to get the pictures uploaded.
Okay. On Twitch at Boom 1069 SVG. All right, let me go over to Facebook, see who's joining us this morning. What, am I seeing drama so early in the morning?
Was somebody too hurtful?
I don't know. I hope we said our prayers before we start with the drama. Morning, Allison. Allison, good morning. Happy Wednesday to you, darling. Mary saying good morning. Come, Shady, say morning. Can you please show
Morning,
this
Mary.
instrumental? I don't like this instrumental.
Okay, hold
It's
on.
very dead.
No, I feel Mary used to feel. I had to be multitasking here.
You see, me too. I feel it. I can't deal with it. I can't. Carl, good morning to you, Carl. No meetings today. It's good to have you joining us early this morning. Tanya, I don't know what's going on, girl. You all right? She says, good morning. I'm here waiting for the bad man. I must be eat his white fall.
I guess that's just love, man. Love.
I think it's love. Gemma is locked on, not seeing her message. You can see her message over there.
Let me check.
We also got Lloyd. He's saying good morning to Boom 1069. So just 1069, not us. Just kidding. Oh Lord, Tanya. Oh gosh. Bing, hurry up and come, please, and answer to these things. I don't know. I'm not getting involved. Mervin Bob is also locked on. He's locked on from Brooklyn. Good morning to you, Mervin, and thanks for joining us. How is it looking in Brooklyn this morning? Now, before we got into the 7 o'clock hour, I would have mentioned that we have some really good news, something that we have to be thankful for. The school girl who was reported missing has been found, and we are definitely thankful to hear that. That's good news. Let me see if I could run the applause. Yes, I have it here. Yes. We are so happy to hear that she's reunited with her family. Because, I mean, as a parent, hearing that a child is missing is the worst thing you could possibly hear. Shady, you have a daughter.
Yeah.
So I imagine, like, for you and so, that's kind of scary hearing that a little girl goes missing and all of that. Now, the interesting thing, though, is I'm going to read the story that I'm seeing here on Eyewitness News, all right? It says, Schoolgirl reunited with parents. Police launch investigation. Police have launched an investigation into the whereabouts of an 11-year-old schoolgirl who did not return home to Brighton on Monday but was met in Mesopotamia on Tuesday morning.
So what?
So she was met in the area because she's from Mespo, right? So she was met at the area on Tuesday morning. Bassiana MacDonald has been reunited with her parents as the police investigation continues. Before being found in Mesopotamia on Tuesday, MacDonald had last been seen Monday afternoon at the bus stop outside the Peace Memorial Hall located near her school, C.W. Prescott Primary in Kingstown. Eyewitness News understands that police are interested in questioning a person about the child's presence in Mesopotamia, but that person ran when officers were approaching them. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark.
Well, that make yourself guilty if they were.
But you're looking real guilty. Why are you running? And I'm hoping that the police were able to apprehend that person and get their questioning done. The child's mother, Nicole MacDonald, had raised the alarm on Monday after she did not return from school. Now, very quickly, I want to say what bothers me about this too. I'm seeing a lot of people sharing their comments about, when they see missing children, they're not going to be posting about it anymore. And they're not going to assist because when the children are found, nobody says this is where the kids were. Oh, we have Shady. You want to add the bad man to the stream? No one says where the kids are and where they were, and people are upset because they want to know if anything is going to come of it. Listen, I completely understand the frustration, and I understand that it's important, especially for parents, to know if there's somebody out there just taking up people's children off the streets. And I think that for that reason,
Remember when it had the black cows?
exactly, for that reason, wanting to know is completely valid. But just think about, God forbid, your child being in an unfortunate situation. You would want people to help. So for me, if I see any child missing, I will speak about it. I will spread the word. I'm not going to stop just because when they're found, we don't know where they were. I also saw somebody saying, they should beat the child and all. You don't know what happened. I mean, can we hold on, pump the brakes a little bit? Let's get some more from this story and not be so hasty in casting judgment. That's all I wanted to say. Let's be thankful that the young lady is back home with her parents. Let's allow the police to do their work, and hopefully we will get some information as to her whereabouts once they see that it is fit, right? So we're going to jump out for a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by the bad man. Somebody already waiting for your baby.
Real bad man.
And done cussing you on the live, and I don't want to get involved. So that's between you and them. All right, we're going to jump out and do this quickly and come back with more. Keep it locked on to 106.9.
Turbulent times teach us the meaning of dependence. We are all dependent on each other to see each other through these trying times. We are reminded to care. GECU introduces our Care Loan, CARE, Comprehensive Assistance and Relief for Essential Workers, and offering a financial reinforcement to those who care for us. The GECU Care Loan allows for all essential healthcare workers to borrow up to $50,000 to get themselves back on a firm foundation. The GECU Care Loan offers the absolute lowest rate for consumer loans in SPG at just 8.5% and gives you the flexibility of a full 7 years to repay. For more details, visit any of our branches nationwide or our main branch in Kingstown. Your job is to take care of others. Our job is to take care of you. Offer ends June 2022. Terms and conditions apply. So come on into GECU because GECU cares for you.
As we face these challenging times, what you doing? We kids have something to say. Run the track. Kids who love track, let's go. It has nothing to do with that rule. Strawberry, they all did stuff. Kids who love track, let's go. Tastes so good like a milkshake. And those bones add to the flavor. Let's go. We just can't wait. Kids who love track, let's go. Packed with protein, let's go. We know how important it is for you to stay connected with all that's happening. That's why Digicel gives you more ways to top up. You can activate plans online by visiting www.digicelgroup.com or downloading the My Digicel app. Stay safe and stay connected. Digicel.
Watch out for more reasons to be scared. More money for where Super 6 something got jackpot again. The Super 6 jackpot for Tuesday, July 20th is $200,000. Super 6, more jackpot money. Watch out for more reasons to be scared. More money for where Super 6 something got jackpot again. It's back to school with Coach Optical, and some items are free. Free! Free! Get free children's lenses with the purchase of any frame. Get free eye exams and photo visits. And 4 free spectacle clinics. Also, if you pay with Ready Finance, you can shop now and pay $0 for 30 days. Plus, parents and teachers receive up to 30% off. Save big with Coach Optical and get ready for back to school with ease. Call us today at 457-8100 or schedule your appointment online at www.quartzoptical.com. Terms and conditions apply. Offer good while supplies last. Quartz Optical. Value you can see.
The Boom Summerfest is on, playing all the party anthems.
I'm missing, don't make them. Can't find the you. Hey, young girl, wanna see ya? You got nobody. That man when you call you sexy, just up die. You are kind of feeling greater, plus your mama don't want it. Please me, I beg you, don't make them come mess up your body. And you don't demand, you don't demand. Leave the people beating them alone. You don't demand, you know it's wrong. So leave the people beating them alone. It's a disgrace. Ooh, you're just a waste. A waste. Yeah. Hey, mommy, you been to you that. When you get it done, you see the sky that turn up like I'm begging to stop me. That man will come take you when you left me that hurry. But if you're young girl, I will not take you down and say, don't be mine, you don't be mine. Even people missing them alone. You don't get mine, you know it's wrong. Even people missing them
OMG in the morning.
That's right. You're joining the OMG in the morning crew. Everybody's on the inside. Well, we're one man down, but it's okay. It's okay. Good morning to you, Bing.
Morning, guys. Shady, the music sounds a bit hollow on my side. I don't know why. Music commercials, everything sounding hollow. I don't know if that's me. Morning, guys. How are you guys doing this morning? How are you doing, Dan?
Good. How are you?
I am great. Shady, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Taking his
Good.
pizza.
And Dan, I heard you talking about that story with the young lady. I read this morning article in which the police, it is saying that the police are interested in interviewing someone of interest, and when the person saw the police coming, that person ran.
Crazy.
So I don't know what that means. Okay. I don't know. I just don't know what to say with regard to that situation. I read it from the very first day the story broke, but if children are involved, I would prefer to withhold until I get my sleep, because
and it's a little girl, and I mean, some of the opinions circulating and stuff is just it's not appropriate.
I don't even want to fathom to think about that. I just prefer to wait.
Agreed.
Yeah, because these things can tarnish that little girl
Mm-hmm.
for the rest of her life. Let's say there's some it's investigated and the opinions that we're hearing, it's nothing of the sort. I don't
Yep.
know, but it's just it's you know how I feel about my little girl, Dan. So
Of course, your little
you,
princess.
you know how that is. All right. Yesterday, someone, well, the office sent to me some WhatsApp messages. All right. Let me open these messages. I guess the person may have called the office or went to the office. The office now won't want to give out my number. So they supposed to give the office um, his information
Okay.
to send to me. I think I'm going to read them.
I'm wondering if it's from Mr. Hamilton.
Please don't. No, the office no better than that. They know better than that. Let me read the information. Okay, 7:23 in case you need to know the time though. Um
Good
7:23.
morning to those of you just join us on Facebook. Bert, Velda, Winston. Good morning. Good
Morning,
morning.
Bassi. You know Boda's Bassi's son.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow, I'm shocked. I can't believe it. I had no idea.
Both and I were in class together.
That's family Bing.
Catch you, suckers.
What are you talking about?
It wasn't just meant for you, but to shake.
Shady liner. You didn't mean it was me who was a
No, I meant for listeners as well, right? So this is Mr. Joseph. My name is. I don't know if I should mention the name of the person, but for now I'll leave it. I will leave it blank, and I would like to ask you to ask some questions that have been asking, and no one seemed to have any answers. And so they dance their way around it in hope that it goes away. I heard your caller, Charles, calling this morning, should have been yesterday morning,
Right.
to raise the same questions I posed on the WFM on Sunday. And I listened to Dr. Thompson dance. That's our Dr. Thompson. So here are the questions I posed on the Searchlight Facebook page on Saturday, 17th July. This person, like, they're really seeking answers, right? You tell me who are the travelers who are Vincentian citizens living here in their own home, alone, fully vaccinated, but must accept the punishment of paying to stay in a hotel for 2 days when there are simple methods that can be implemented to avoid this. I am of the view that many of what I said were not well looked at, or else there will be other measures deployed using simple technology that could ease the burden to citizens. SMA, my understanding is that when tourist ships arrive here for one day, the passengers will be allowed to go around SVG in buses and will not be walking around the streets. Now, you tell me, will all passengers be fully vaccinated and must arrive when a negative PCR test, or with a negative PCR test? Will all persons locally that they are likely to come in contact with, tour guides, taxi drivers, food vendors, etc., be also fully vaccinated, and vehicles used sanitized after use? How is it equitable that a Vincentian citizen living alone in own home and fully vaccinated with a negative PCR test must pay to be quarantined for 12 days. The hotel and a non-citizen coming here by boat gets a tour around the same day. Is this type of punishment reserved for us citizens? Question mark. Why is it only one of all the approved taxi drivers at KIA? Last time I checked, June 5th, fully vaccinated. Wow. Only one taxi driver vaccinated, according to this message. Who is going to police the ship tourists while on tour with tour? They are not. They do not come into contact with random persons. Am I to believe that a fully vaccinated with a negative PCR is more likely to have the new or any COVID, and a non-citizen coming by boat will not, and so no punishment needed? Think of the thing. If intention citizen left here on June 20th for Barbados for 13 days, returned July 5th upon reaching the airport in Barbados with a negative PCR test, 3 days, and is fully vaccinated, was told they cannot board the flight until they booked in a hotel in SPG for 2 days in the country of their boat and live. No one has answered this email or any of the numbers given to request permission to stay in a private home, which was available at the time. When forced to book the hotel, as the only other option was to miss their flight and stay on foreign soil, as they are being blocked from coming home, land of their boat. To make matters worse, when they arrive in SVG, go to the hotel, they are now told that only designated taxi drivers can carry them to the hotel in preference to a fully vaccinated family member standing right there with proof in hand. And only one taxi driver at AIA is fully vaccinated. Wow. Now, I am hearing that they are considering allowing vaccinated and unvaccinated passengers, foreigners, coming here on a ship to go around SVG, same day, in a bus, as if how us locals are more risk when we go away for a few days and come back than the foreigner coming here from all over the globe for 1 day. So we get the punishment of 2 days in quarantine, paid for, that is, before we can see our loved ones or even go home where we can safely quarantine. Please tell me, sir, how is this equitable, legal, or even personal, to be blocked from coming home until you booked hotel at home? Well, I didn't read this through before. I'm reading it for the first time. I wish that person who sent that message and give us a quick call.
Interesting indeed.
Yeah, 4511069. Give us a quick call. The person who sent that message. 4511069.
Valid concerns as well.
Someone just messaged and said, the message just came in and said, Bing, I haven't heard of any protocols yet for cruise ship passengers. Have you?
I haven't.
The person who sent that message, can you give us a quick call, please? 4511069. So, in other words, that message is saying that apparently they or someone tried to come home who was told at the airport in Barbados. They went out for a few days in Barbados and was told that they couldn't book the flight until
Yep.
they couldn't get on the flight until they showed booking for 2 days. Is that a call?
Yes, let's see. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
I'm the person that you're asking to call who would have sent that
Okay.
message.
Good
Okay.
morning. Good morning. Do you want to say your name, sir?
Hello?
It's not necessary. Do you want to identify yourself and give your name?
Oh, I have no problems doing that. My name is Vincent Alexander.
Vincent Alexander. So, Vincent, were you the person who went to Barbados? Or was it you
Family member.
a family member? So, tell us exactly what happened, really.
Well, that person went to Barbados, as was said in the WhatsApp message I sent to you. They left there on the 20th, presumably to return on the 28th. However, though, the 28th would have been a Friday, and there was a pending hurricane, so they had to return on the 5th instead. That person, when they got to Barbados, they went into quarantine, and as soon as while they were in quarantine, they were trying to adhere to the protocols for returning. So they were making every effort to try to email the authorities here. No response. They were getting no response from the email, and they went ahead and did what they had to do with regards to the PCR test. So they went and they get the PCR test upon just a few days before they returned. So, however, when they got to the airport, they didn't book a hotel to stay here to quarantine because they thought that they would have heard back from the authorities here through email, giving them permission to stay in a private home, which was available. That person was fully vaccinated before they left here.
Mm-hmm.
So when they got to the airport on the 5th, the airport in Barbados, on the 5th, the morning of the 5th, to fly back home to St. Vincent, they were told by the LIAT people that they can't fly unless they book a hotel in St. Vincent. So they immediately called me and asked me to try and see if I could get on to the health authorities there. I frantically kept calling all of the numbers I had. Eventually, I got somebody at Nemo who gave me a number for a private number for somebody who they said was on the task force. I called that person, and that person said to me, well, the only thing I could advise you to do is to let them book the hotel so that they can fly home. That person standing in the airport there, and the flight is being held up, and they can't fly because they book a hotel to come back home. See the point I'm making?
Yes. But do you know what was the protocol then for persons trying to get home?
Well, I had already checked it out, and I sent them the information what they had to adhere to. Okay, the protocols were that if you're fully vaccinated, you have to get a negative PCR test to travel with, and you will have to quarantine for 2 days upon arrival here in St. Vincent. And you had the option with those with quarantine, you had the option to either quarantine at a private residence or in a hotel. However, in order to quarantine in a private residence, you had to get that specific permission from the health authorities here. And there were some other options with regards to quarantine in a private residence, in that you have to either do it alone, and if you're doing it with another person, then that person has to be quarantined as well, and so on and so forth. However, though, they never got any information from the health officials here through the email with regards to quarantining at the private residence, which would have been their preference. And so a hotel was never booked before they left Barbados. And this is what the punching point is. My thing is, my beef really is not because a lot of people thinking that I feel the person should not be quarantined. My beef is not about the quarantine. My beef is being blocked. You're being blocked from traveling on the basis that you didn't book a hotel at your home. I even throw a fix to that where I said, look, why don't you allow the person to travel? And when they get to St. Vincent, then the authorities there would put it to them, look, you have to either book a hotel or we'll book one for you. But you can't prevent a person from coming to St. Vincent, a Vincentian citizen with a passport who live here, from coming to St. Vincent on the basis that hotel here. That don't make no sense whatsoever. That don't make no sense. And it tells me that persons who were doing who were making up the protocols did not take into consideration that there are persons here who would want to leave to go away for short periods of time and come back. The whole protocol thing seemed to be geared towards persons who are out there for a long period of time and wanting to come in. I sent you some information, some further information, which was posted on the AIA Facebook page. And it says nothing about the vaccinated person with regards to the protocols of entering St. Vincent. There's nothing. And it's as though you being vaccinated, having a negative PCR test, you're just as toxic as the unvaccinated guy who also comes with a negative PCR test. And then when you get here, you're being told that the only person to carry you to the hotel is a designated taxi driver. Lo and behold, I was standing there fully vaccinated with my card in hand to prove that I was fully vaccinated, and I was not allowed to take the person to the hotel. But you're telling me that it is safe and it is better for an vaccinated taxi driver to take that person to the hotel. How come? How could it be? What is it here? How could it be that an unvaccinated? Then I'm told when I asked the taxi driver, about 6 of them line up there trying to get the person to go in their taxis. And I asked each one of them. None of them were vaccinated. I was told by the health official at the airport that they only have one vaccinated taxi driver there, and it's Kingsley Freighter.
What?
Nobody else.
Vaccinated taxi driver at AIA?
At AIA, yeah. Nobody else is vaccinated. Nobody else is fully vaccinated.
And they are all there lined up?
And they're all there lined up to take people to their destination.
And you're only allowed to take one of those taxi drivers. You can't.
And you're only allowed to take one of them. You can't take.
And you're there vaccinated with your card to show, but you're not allowed to take the person?
Yeah. I was standing right there, and that is what is upsetting for me. I was standing right there with my card in hand, fully vaccinated.
And who was making that decision? Not the name of the person, but the position of the person. Was it a health official, a police officer, an immigration officer? Who was making that decision to say you can't take the person, but you have to let the unvaccinated taxi driver take the person?
There was a person from the customer service section of the AIA, and the nurse who did the PCR test swab inside the airport. She came outside to ensure that protocol be adhered to, which the protocol being that they travel with a designated taxi driver.
And they didn't know that the other taxi drivers would not.
They knew. They're the ones who first told me. And then when I checked the 6 taxi drivers that were there lined up, they all said, no, they're not vaccinated. They knew. They're the ones who said to me that none of them are vaccinated. So they knew.
Oh, that's not making any sense.
I don't understand.
I've seen private vehicle come and pick up persons who came on a flight.
So we were forced to stay there for almost 2 hours just to wait on Kingsley Freighter to return because he was out. He had gone to to carry somebody else. And we were forced to stay there for almost 2 hours, just so that Kingsley, the freighters, could return to take the person to their hotel destination. I'm saying this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable by the highest order. First, you're being blocked from coming home until you book a hotel. You're being blocked from flying until you book a hotel. And secondly, when you get here, you're being forced to go into a taxi in which your driver is not vaccinated, and you are. And you have had a negative PCR test in the last 3 days. They're not showing you any negative PCR test. They are not vaccinated. Their car is not sanitized after the last use. But yet, you're forced to go with them.
Caller, did you report this to the health authority, the health service authority, the COVID?
Health authority. When I spoke, I called in on the radio on Sunday, and I was being badgered.
What do you mean?
You don't know what I say when I said badgered?
Okay.
I was being badgered when I called in on the radio, and I tried. At the same time, while I was talking, I understand that Dr. Teaser was on the WhatsApp giving information to the specifics that I was talking about. One of the things she perhaps said about the taxi drivers not being vaccinated is that is being worked on. In my opinion, that should never be. So it shouldn't have to be worked on. It should never be. That should never take place. That should never take place. So how is it being worked on? And if it is being worked on, how soon will it be resolved? There's a serious question.
We have one of our commentators is a member of that authority. That's Dr. Thompson, and he will have to give us answers this morning, because it can't be on the radio taking people to task when the systems that are in place, these people know the system in place at AIA, yet they're putting people's lives at risk. And they know, these people know, they know that the taxi drivers there are not vaccinated. That's what you're saying.
Yes, they know. They know. Like I said, they were the first ones who informed me that these taxi drivers were not vaccinated. And then when asked by me of the taxi drivers, all of them declined, said that they were not vaccinated.
So somebody come in and get COVID between the airport and wherever they go in, what recourse can they, what recourse? I mean, you can't be systems in place telling Vincentians they can't come home for stupid reasons, but yet you have people at the airport, taxi drivers at the airport that you know are not vaccinated, but you're still forcing people to take them. When somebody's there who vaccinated with their card, and you're telling them they can't go with them. That is the height of stupidness.
Yep. And added to that. Now, I want to make something clear because I'm hearing with my comment with regard to the tourist ship. Now,
okay, hold on. Call up the solar. Dan is council there?
Yes, but I want us to take a break.
Okay, caller, do you mind holding?
Do you mind holding?
Sure, I could hold.
All right, so let's do a quick break, and when we come back, we'll also have our council join us.
Let him give us what legal recourse action can be taken to something like this. Let's take a break.
We'll come right back.
Hey now, I just get a free $50 gift card to top up my phone.
How you get that?
I get vaccinated.
So they're paying you to get the shot?
Nah. I not for sale, eh? Nobody can buy me.
So what is the $50 all about?
It's just a thank you for deciding on my own to get the shot. I would have taken it anyways, but it's nice to feel appreciated.
So if I decide to take the vaccine, they can thank me too?
I feel so, but you had to go to grenadinesinitiative.org for details.
Grenadinesinitiative.org? Thanks.
Turbulent times teach us the meaning of dependence. We are all dependent on each other to see each other through these trying times. We are reminded to care. GECU introduces our Care Loan, CARE, comprehensive assistance and relief for essential workers, an offering of financial reinforcement to those who care for us. The GECU Care Loan allows for all essential healthcare workers to borrow up to $50,000 to get themselves back on a firm foundation. The GECU Care Loan offers the absolute lowest rate for consumer loans in SVG at just 8.5% and gives you the flexibility of a full 7 years to repay. For more details, visit any of our branches nationwide or our main branch in Kingstown. Your job is to take care of others. Our job is to take care of you. Offer ends June 2022. Terms and conditions apply. So come on into GECU because GECU cares for you.
Are you a person who cares for your hair 100%? Well, you should check out Denatures for the best hair product. They offer a wide variety of chibi powders, cocoa oils, chibi moisturizer cream, chibi shampoos, and Ambuno conditioners. Products can be found at Bowman's Pharmacy, Island Health Pharmacy, Annisville, Roy's Pharmacy, Georgetown, Union Island, Beckway, Canawan. And for more information, please feel free to contact 1-876-836-7156. For the best care in hair, please check out Denatures.
Plain talk. Plain talk with Jumo Thomas. On OMG.
All right, we're joined this morning. We have a caller on the line, and we also have our counsel with us. But quickly, I got a message from Quartz for you. And there's some feedback there. Shop in store or online at www.shopquartz.com. Save on a wide range of smart TVs, mattresses, and electronics. Shop with Quartz Ready Finance and get instant approval. Pay nothing down with a hassle-free repayment period of up to 36 months. Quartz is bringing value home. All right, caller, are you still on the line?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, Jomo, let's make sure that we can hear you clearly.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, we got
Good morning.
Okay.
Quickly, caller, I was just told by counsel that he didn't hear all of what you said with regards to the incident. Could you quickly repeat it, please, capsule it for counsel, please?
With regards to what?
To what took place.
Oh, what took place? Okay,
yes.
Well, what took place, in a nutshell, is that a family member of mine was being bad in Barbados, turned up at the airport in Barbados on the 5th of July to return to St. Vincent, having traveled to Barbados on the 20th of June. And they were told that not be allowed to travel on the airline to St. Vincent until they book a hotel here in St. Vincent. Okay? And when they were forced to book the hotel before they could travel on the airline. They turned up, they're fully vaccinated, and they turned up with a negative PCR test as is required. That is 3 days old, as is required. And yet they're being told unless they book a hotel here in St. Vincent, they cannot travel on the airline. So they had to, right there in the airport in Barbados, try to book a hotel here. When they got the booking, then they were allowed to travel. When they got here, they were told also that to go to the hotel, I cannot take them to the hotel, me being fully vaccinated with my card in hand to prove. But they have to take a designated taxi driver. And none of the taxi drivers that were available at the time were vaccinated. None. 0 were vaccinated. In a nutshell, that's what it is. And I agree with that.
Well, that sounds kind of strange. If somebody is coming in and that person is fully vaccinated, and that person has a relative or friend who comes to the airport and to pick them up, and that person is also fully vaccinated. I do not understand what are the policy reasons for our authority saying that the visitor or citizen or resident who is returning to St. Vincent cannot go with that person who is fully vaccinated. It may well be, well, I don't even want to speculate, because if you are saying that none of the taxi drivers who were available at the time were vaccinated, it seems to me that if that policy is imposed, it has the chance of exposing the fully vaccinated visitor to someone who is unvaccinated, and that possibility is open that depending on who was in that car before, if that person, the driver, is exposed, it may mean that the person who is now going to, the fully vaccinated person who is going to enter that taxi may be at risk, however small that risk may be. So the policy I don't understand.
But Council, we are also hearing that there's only one vaccinated driver, taxi driver at AIA. There's only one person, taxi driver, who is vaccinated.
Oh, well, I can't speak to that. I've seen one taxi driver at the airport saying that, hey, come to me, I'm fully vaccinated.
No, but
I don't know.
The information that caller, could you tell, let the council know about the information with one taxi driver?
Okay, let me say this as well, right? If you travel with a fully vaccinated person, travels with an unvaccinated taxi driver, not only are you exposed, you're a vaccinated person, not only are you exposed to that driver who may well be exposed himself, but he's coming to you to take you to a hotel. He's unvaccinated. And the last person whom he would have taken to a hotel was somebody who would have come on a flight who may well be infected. He took them to their hotel. He comes back. His car is not sanitized. And he's not vaccinated. And you're told that you have to go with him. So that's double jeopardy. That's double risk. You see what I'm saying? Now, with regards to the taxi driver, to one taxi driver being vaccinated at the airport, I asked the question, and I was told by the nurse at the airport at the time that none of the taxi drivers were vaccinated, and it was the customer service rep at the airport who said to me, only one is vaccinated, and it was Kingsley Freitas, but he was not available at the time. I raised an alarm about that. I called in on the VFM program on Sunday, and I spoke about that. And Dr. Keyser, in my opinion, corroborated that information by saying, because she was in the background giving information to what I was saying, that is a problem and it's being worked out. So I am to believe that, yes, there is only one taxi driver at the airport currently who is vaccinated. None of them are vaccinated. I think at one point when I started asking around to all was lined up there, I think one guy said he only had one shot, but none of the rest had any. And I am saying, but you don't want me to take my family member to the hotel, and I'm fully vaccinated. Here's my card. But it's the man here.
So how did your family member get to the hotel?
Well, we had to wait for almost 2 hours on Kingsley. That's what we chose to do, for him to come back out at the time. So we waited for him.
Caller, listen, I'm getting a lot of messages from some officials who are hearing what you're saying. So let's hope that something would be said very soon, officially, about this situation and this statement that you've made this morning.
I have one question for the caller. Can you
Sure.
tell me how much time between the flight and the email that the person sent requesting the home quarantine was?
Well, at the time, they were requesting that you gave them 2 weeks notice if you
Okay.
wanted to stay in a private residence. However, though, 2 weeks notice would have put that person right back here in St. Vincent, meaning that they would have had to give them the notice even before they leave.
Right.
Right? And I raised the question with the person whom I spoke to from Nemo. I said, well, isn't it a practical thing that a person leaving St. Vincent to go to another country is going to concern themselves more with the protocols in that country that they're going to, and having surpassed that, when they get to that country and they settle themselves, then they start worrying about the protocols to get back home. So therefore, whatever the protocols were in terms of the 2 weeks notice, they would have missed that. And they get to, because when that person got to Barbados while they were in quarantine, they start sending the email to get back. And they never got an answer up to today. Never got an answer.
You know, finally,
numbers. And
finally, finally,
Hello?
the call. I think has his own little commentary to get into. But finally, before we get to that, I know for a fact that someone sent an application to stay at their private residence. But when they got here, they were told that they didn't get the application because the system was down. The system crashed. And I was saying, so whose fault is it? The system crashed, and therefore this person who applied couldn't get to stay at their private residence. But that's all the time we've got. Carter, we'll get back to this later on in the morning, because Dr. Thompson, when he come on, I know for a fact that he will speak to this. So keep listening, okay?
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Thank you very much for airing this to me, Ben. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. You're welcome. So thank you. All right. Council, let's jump straight into you this morning. I apologize for that.
Sorry.
No, that's fine, because being quite frankly, I was up doing a lot of work last night on a very important matter that I have before the court, and I really didn't get a chance to address my mind to a particular commentary. So I don't have anything for this morning. So if there are certain things that you would want to speak to, I would be more than willing to comment if you want me to do that.
Well, some of the big issues that making the news this morning is the issue with that young child who went missing. I don't know if you have any further information on what
I thought a child was found.
Yes, the child was found, but I read that a person of interest that the police went to investigate wanted to get to investigate to have a conversation with. When the police approached that person, the person ran. I read it. Yes, he was probably running to get you. That is.
It's not. Well, he hasn't gotten to me. He hasn't gotten to me as yet.
He's probably getting there. He's getting there.
He hasn't gotten to me as yet. But that story though is a perennial, is all too often heard in St. Vincent, where young girls, for whatever reason, leave their parents or their guardians and go off for a day or two. A lot of time it happens on the weekend. I know of an incident only recently where a young child, I think she was 11 or 12, had left her parent home and went off with a guy who is 18 years old and stayed with the guy all weekend. And those are real problems. You have these young children now getting into where their hormones are beginning to rage. Some of them are pretty big for their size, and certain people take advantage of them because if you're underage, it means you can't give consent. So whatever that person may say or do is in law because it is forced, and the persons who are engaging in those kind of actions with underage children are in serious jeopardy if the matter is brought before the court. I know in my long practice that many people end up engaging in those actions with underage children, and then there's some attempt on the part of the person who committed the act to try to buy off the family. That happens all too frequently. But that is the state of affair. I think that we have to. These things are always going to happen. I don't see what we can do to stop them from happening. Because if you have, I remember some years ago, Basti Alexander, in his One Love column, wrote a piece in which he jokingly said, "There's no such thing as sexual harassment. What we have is sex shall harass men." And it makes some sense because it seems as though too often, too many of us go silly when it comes to person of the opposite gender. Well, that's us men, and maybe women also go silly when it comes to persons of the opposite gender. But the case always becomes a big case when there's a young girl who runs away. It's a problem. It's a problem that society has to deal with. And maybe what we need is to have more counselors in schools and so on, because sometimes the research is there, the learning is there, that all too often some of these young children are screaming out for help, and they're actually engaging in negative activity that may come back to haunt them for the rest of their lives, that may even cost them their life.
Why must it be about the children need consent? What about the men who are getting involved in these activities?
So you actually missed everything I just said.
Probably, because I was on my phone a bit. You said something about the men, though.
Of course, I did say that these men who are literally preying on underage girls, underage children, need to understand that if they are underage, no matter what they do, they cannot give consent, and therefore what they're engaging in is an illegal activity for which they can suffer serious jeopardy. I did say that.
Counsel, I gotta ask,
Sure.
what about the law, the system that we have in place? You think that it sufficiently protects our children from these types of situations?
Well, the law could only do what it has to do once the conflict is brought to the system. So, for example, if an accusation is made against an adult who engages in sexual intercourse or indecent exposure or any of those sexual crime with a minor, then the law deals with it. And I have a fairly extensive pro bono practice in the family court. And I can tell you that these matters come all the time. You would be amazed to see the amount of matters that come before the court. A lot of them. And the court deal with these matters and deal with them pretty firmly. But the larger problem is where these acts, in many respects, very despicable acts, take place between adults and mainly young girls. I'm sure it happens with young boys as well. But mainly young girls are the ones that come to the court. Once it comes to the court deals with it. And I think the penalty is quite adequate. And the president of the court has done an exceptionally good job over the year to deal with these matters and to dispense justice in the way in which the law requires.
Can you give us an idea of those penalties and like what the sentences are like? Just some examples.
Well, if a man engages in sexual intercourse with a child under 13, for example, there's a preliminary inquiry for which that person, if there's a sufficiency of evidence, that person is put over to be tried in the high court. And if that person is tried in the high court, that person can get a sentence for as much as 10 years in prison for indecent exposure and some other crime where the legislative maximum is like about 3 or 4 years. If you expose yourself to a child or improperly touches a child, you can get 2-3 years in jail.
Wow. But a lot of people, sorry but not sorry, these van drivers and conductors, their names are too often being called in these type of matters, and it's just crazy. Yesterday morning, I raised an issue but didn't get to go into it yesterday morning because everything just got whirlwind away into another situation, into another bacchanal yesterday morning. But I started out by raising the issue of these fresh elections that the leader of the opposition is calling for, and this new again protest action, which he said on Monday is scheduled for the 29th. What help me here, Council. Where's the leader of the opposition and the opposition going with all of this with?
Well, I see nothing wrong with the actions, the protest action that the leader of the opposition wants to hold. I mean, as an opposition party, remember, your thing is to oppose, propose, and depose. And having gone to the last election, and they lost the election, and I think that they have agreed that they lost the election because even though they lost an additional seat and went from 8-7 in the previous parliament to 9-6, whereas in the previous parliament they brought 2 election petitions. In this one, they did not bring an election. In the last one of November last year, they did not bring a petition, even though they lost a seat by as few as 1 vote. So I don't think they are questioning the legitimacy of the last election. I think what they are doing is that, and we covered this ground before, they are doing precisely what the ULP did back in 1998. Because back in 1998, the ULP won the majority of votes. They thought that the elections should have gone their way, and they announced that they would have protest action. In fact, they did say that they would make the government ungovernable. So I think that, in fact, you may recall just at the election, Mr. Dr. Friday, the leader of the opposition, picked up that precise language, quoting PM Gonzalez from back in 1998, and leader of the party then, Vincent Peach, that the government does not have what we have. We should have is consent. The government should be the consent of the governed, and the fact that the NDP now has the majority, albeit by just over 500 votes, they believe that they have the support of the majority of people in the country, and the numerical numbers seem to say that from the last election. And they are pressing that initiative home. I don't agree with it because I think that in a parliamentary democracy, what we have is a first past the poll system, and therefore the party that wins is the party that should govern. So I'm not so sure where this notion of new elections are coming from. I said I understand it from a political grandstanding point, but I am not so sure on barring some major mishap, some major governance hiccup on the part of the Unity Labour Party. I don't see, or I'm not sure how the opposition intends to gain political traction at this point to press for new elections. I mean, PM Gonzalez has a lot of experience in practicing with a very narrow majority. He did that in 2010 and again in 2015, governing with an 8-7 majority. He now has a 9-6 majority. So I am not sure he's going to be shaken by the protest action. So we just have to wait and see. But I can't say that the opposition should just sit down and wait. They need to do whatever they need to do to oppose, propose, and prepare to depose, and whatever they think is necessary that are in the confines of the law. I think that there's nothing wrong with that.
This whole protest action was triggered by the Ashel Morgan, Kareem Nelson, Mr. John incident. In addition to all of this, the leader of the opposition held a press conference and he said that he was going to take a bill to Parliament. And with this bill that he's going to take to Parliament, he was going to deal with these sort of issues, persons who in Parliament operating in unparliamentary style behavior, such as what took place. What happened? What took place? I mean, that bill never came to Parliament. What's going on?
Well, I think what happened is that when they brought that motion, the person who brought the motion was outside of the Parliament. I don't know what happened there. I mean, if they had a two-prong approach, a parliamentary approach and a public demonstration approach, they should have had someone inside the Parliament.
Hold on, Council. Shady or Dan, could you switch back, please? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that.
They should have had someone inside of the Parliament who's watching the way the order paper is going to know, because these are the days of smartphone and WhatsApp and everything else. So everyone has a smartphone. Everyone has a communications, and you don't have to depend to run on some phone in some building as we used to do a few decades ago. So to me, it's unpardonable that when that issue came up on the order paper, the leader of the opposition was not there. So I mean, tactically, it made them look less than organized, because they made a big hullabaloo about bringing this matter before the Parliament to continue the protests for against Miss Morgan being in the Parliament. And then when the time came for that motion to be tabled and to be discussed, they were not there to present it.
So, I mean, will it be done to come in the next sitting of Parliament, which is the same time again that they're scheduling to have the protest action?
Well, they can bring a new motion. The fact that the motion was not debated last time don't preclude them from bringing a motion again. Nothing in the standing orders precludes them from bringing that motion.
So it doesn't get thrown out completely. It's.
I think what may happen is that you may have a technical argument saying, well, look, this is something that was brought, like the standing orders say that you cannot bring the same issue before the Parliament in any given term.
Right.
The technical argument may be made, well, look, you brought this before, you were not there to discuss it, and consequently, you cannot bring it again. That's one way to look at it. But the other way to look at it, and the way the opposition may argue, is that yes, it was tabled, but we were not in Parliament. It was not debated, and as a consequence, it was removed from the order paper, and therefore we should be allowed to bring another motion. And there's going to be a wrangling, and I'm sure the very competent speaker of the Parliament would make a ruling on that.
Is there a special time? I think it's only once per year the opposition is allowed to bring motions into the House or have private members bill.
Well, you can bring a motion whenever you want to bring a motion, but the once per year, I think it's the fourth session of Parliament. It normally comes like you can bring a private member's motion, a private member's bill.
But have they ever been able to do that, the opposition?
Well, they have never been able to do it, because each time they try to do it, and to me this smacks a little wrong to me from a democratic standpoint, the governing party has ran around that and brought a motion of their own, or try to turn the motion which the opposition brings. I mean, nothing stops them from doing that. But I think tactically, what they ought to do, in my mind, based on my limited understanding of the rules, having sat there for 50 months, is if such had happened to me and I was an opposition parliamentarian, I would have simply invoked Standing Order Rule 15.5, raise it as an issue of national importance, and have it debated
What is
then.
15.5? What is 15.5?
Excuse me?
What is 15.5?
14.5. It's a standing order which says that if there's an issue of national importance, any member of parliament could raise it. If the speaker does not believe that what is suggested constitutes an issue of national importance, then if any five member of the parliament supports what the standing member says, what the standing member proposes as an issue of national importance, it has to be debated. It has to be discussed. The opposition has more than 5 members, so they can use that tactic, I think. But they haven't. You may have heard me over and over saying it when I was speaker. Honorable members, you have to learn the rules. You have to learn the rules. And I am not so sure. Whereas you can see in my time sitting there, PM Gonzalez was always on top of the rules. Honorable Louis Straker was always a favorite with the rules. Camilo Gonzalez, who has only been there for 7 years, has come on and is very sharp with the rules. I can say, the honorable leader of the opposition is now invoking the rules, and to his credit, is making that kind of progress. But a lot of the members on the opposition side don't seem to go sufficiently to the rules to make their point and to advance their program and policies.
But does the speaker, him or her, could make a decision on him or her own to let these motions go through?
The speaker has wide discretion to do a whole host of things, but what the speaker would not do is, if, for example, it's an ordinary motion, there's a section of the standing orders which allows for amendment to the motion. So any motion which comes before the parliament, in my respectful view, except for a motion of no confidence, then I think that you can amend that. What I don't think can be amended is a motion of no confidence. And you would remember back in 2018 when I was a sitting speaker, I completely blew the point and allowed for a motion of no confidence to be amended. I don't think that is permissible. I think I ruled incorrectly. And if it is one thing I think I erred on during the parliament, and erred in a big way, was in that sitting to allow an amendment to a motion of no confidence.
And Councillor, given you said that, while you were sitting there, after that you've erred on that motion, had the opposition brought another motion of no confidence, and the government side tried what they did before, would you have allowed that motion to go through, or what would you have done?
Well, having said what I just said, you can be sure that the government would not have been allowed, the governing party would not have been allowed to amend a motion of no confidence, because I think it's unconstitutional to do that. The motion of no confidence is inserted in the Constitution. The rules which calls for an amendment of all motions are subsidiary rules which allow for the working of the House. A subsidiary rule in no country in the world can supersede the Constitution of the country. So where the Constitution mandates something, there's no way some subsidiary rule, some statute or whatever could overrule what's in the Constitution. And that's where I made my error. And that's an error I would have never made again had a similar motion come before the Parliament.
Well, I think your error hit the opposition hard, because since that, they've never brought another motion of no confidence. I don't know why. I don't know if they'll ever be brought again.
Maybe they don't think that it is necessary to do so. But you may recall, in the 20 years that the NDP had been in opposition, it's only once in 2018 it brought a motion of no confidence. It brought one in 20 years. So I'm not so sure that they were really struck by it. I mean, there was a lot of chatter outside of the parliament, and even to this day by some opposition parliamentarians, that was their opportunity to topple the government. But I don't think that they read it correctly. I think they mistakenly went on the view that when Honorable Parliamentarian Soboto Caesar said Ralph Gonzalez cannot speak morally or legally for me, I think that they had this mistaken notion that he would have voted against the government. What we do know is that, or what they don't know, particularly persons who did not listen to the interplay between myself and the parliamentarians, is that Honorable Soboto Caesar, rather than being democratic, was being rather undemocratic. His view was that we should not have even brought the issue of the motion of no confidence to the floor. There should have been a vote as to whether it should come to the floor. But people took his statement, his outburst to mean, and he said it very vociferously, that Prime Minister Gonzalez can't speak for me. But you may recall that statement came after I said, but Prime Minister, you said your 8 would hold. So what is your difficulty in having the motion debated? And that's when Honorable Soboto Caesar jumped in and said what he said. A lot of times people didn't listen to that debate, and they ran away with the notion that he might have voted against the government. But the evidence was clear, though, because when the government flipped the motion and made it into a motion of confidence, Soboto Caesar voted for the motion of confidence.
Yes. Council, finally, what does a motion of no confidence do? Even though you know that
even though
you know that you will not win, because the government side has more in the house than the opposition. What does it do? Is it a moral? It's something to the base of the party? What does it do?
It's a tactical move on the part of opposition parties, mainly to bring certain issues to the fore. So if opposition party charges corruption, it charges malfeasance of some government official, so they bring that to highlight that position. And to a large extent, motion of no confidences around the world don't succeed. And the main purpose is to highlight certain issues. But there are crucial moments across the world where motion of no confidence do succeed. And you want to bring a motion of no confidence to see whether in the parliament there's enough persons who support the policies of the government, because in many respects, you may have a parliamentarian who may be aggrieved, and when the motion of no confidence is brought, a sitting government parliamentarian may flip and decide he's going to vote that he has no confidence in his own government, and that may cause it to fall down. You may recall, back in 1995, I think, the Unity Labour Party that had just gotten into the parliament with 3 parliamentarians brought up a motion of no confidence. And in rounding up, PM Gonzalez, who was one of the 3 elected parliamentarians for the Unity Labour Party, then said, we know this is not going to pass. We know that you have the majority and would use the majority. But history would deal with you. So that's the upon which they do motions of no confidence. And that's the point I was making to him back in 2018, that you had the opportunity, even when you had the slimmest, you had less persons than the NDP had in 2018. And that party, Mr. Mitchell as Prime Minister and his party, Parnell Campbell as Attorney General, allowed the Unity Labour Party to table and to debate the motion of no confidence. When it was his turn to ensure the continuation of democratic best practices, PM Gonzalez turned history on its head and decided to oppose the motion. And I think that is going to be one of the things that history will be unkind to him for that action back then.
And do you think going forward, if the opposition ever try to bring a motion of no confidence, that the Prime Minister will try to flip it, and as he did in the last one?
Well, I don't want to do hypotheticals, but if I know Prime Minister Gonzalez the way in which I do know him, it is highly unlikely that he would I would say he would follow the same action which he did back in 2018.
And what should the opposition do if you had to advise the opposition to see if they can get through? How should they deal with it?
They won't be. Well, it's not the opposition, because suppose the speaker, whoever the sitting speaker is, rule the same way in which I ruled, and in my estimation, I ruled incorrectly, then we would have we would have the fiasco that we had back in 2018, which should not have happened.
Okay. Also, I want to thank you very much this morning. Although you didn't have something prepared, we got a lot of information out this morning. Thank you very, very much. Okay?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, now we're way past the top, so what I'm gonna do is I'll run a commercial break. Right about now, it's 8:27. When we come back, we should be joined by Dr. Thompson. I'm not seeing Stephen on. All right, so you can stick around for that. What was that? All right, no problem. All right, so stick around. Boom 1069. We're coming right back.
Here we go. Boom Summerfest is on. Are you ready? The biggest songs of the summer in a head-to-head battle. Every shift, every day.
Never stop if you want to be on top.
Vote for the biggest song of the summer. Vote for the biggest artist of the summer. The toughest mic men and the biggest DJs in SVG. Playing all the party anthems and hits all day and all night.
Low bass, fat, baby, tap in.
We turn up the heat.
Tap in.
Talk English, Spanish, and French.
Who let the dogs out?
Let the dog out. Let the dog out. As we play the best dance hall, hip hop, and soca in the Boom Summerfest. Who will rule the summer with the biggest party anthems? The Boom Summerfest is on.
Kilometer.
Every girl loves curves. Curves is a girl's closest friend. When life throws you a fast curve, count on Curves for ultra confidence, ultra comfort for that time of the month. Curves ultra thin with wings, Curves regular maxi with wings, and Curves overnight maxi with wings. Super absorbent, best quality and value for money. Every girl loves Curves.
Agent and distributor. Better Brands Distributors.
Isn't it good to know that no matter where you are, you're covered by a company owned by Vincentians that understands your unique insurance needs. At Metrostate General Insurance Company, we've invested 50 years of service to guarantee that you have the peace of mind that you deserve. When it comes to motor vehicle, property, employer's liability, business insurance, and much more, we've got you covered. Our professional and friendly staff understands your needs and ensures you understand your options. Metrostate General Insurance Company. Call us today at 784-456-1821 or email us at metrostate@fintisurf.com.
Turbulent times teach us the meaning of dependence. We are all dependent on each other to see each other through these trying times. We are reminded to care. GECU introduces our Care Loan, CARE, comprehensive assistance and relief for essential workers, an offering of financial reinforcement to those who care for us. The GECU Care Loan allows for all essential healthcare workers to borrow up to $50,000 to get themselves back on a firm foundation. The GECU Care Loan offers the absolute lowest rate for consumer loans in SVG at just 8.5% and gives you the flexibility of a full 7 years to repay. For more details, visit any of our branches nationwide or our main branch in Kingstown. Your job is to take care of others. Our job is to take care of you. Offer ends June 2022. Terms and conditions apply. So come on into GECU because GECU cares for you.
The Boom Summerfest is on, playing all the party anthems.
I go bring my friends and if you bring your friends and we friends we don't lie together. Just decide who wants we like in this place alright vibe right here in the back. Yeah, jam. We go take a licky. It's right right and we beat you now right here in the back. Yeah, jam.
never play my Cindy Santana. Yeah, just be patient, hold it straight. Enjoy life and don't complain. You got to pray like every day. And it's gonna be irate. Better days are coming, coming. Change your ways. Don't let this moment pass you by and remain the same. Better days are coming, coming. Change your ways. Don't let this moment pass you by and remain the same. Hey, let them know I don't have no time for no drama. Misperforming on stage, I'm singing the soca. Yeah, that is life, I can't complain. When things nice, it's felt like rain. This feeling I can't explain. I promise you right now, better days are coming, coming. Change your ways. But in this moment, pass you by and remain the same. Better days are coming, coming. Change your ways. But in this moment, pass you by and remain the same. Always have my trees again. Hey, hey. Things will get better. Wouldn't last forever. No, no. Oh, things will get better. It will last. It will last. It will last. But I give it time now.
OMG in the morning.
Man, you bring that instrumental. I was hoping for the actual song. Listen, you can be a part of the evolution on air and online. Like and follow us on Facebook. We're also on Instagram and YouTube. You just got to follow us at Boom SVG 1069. We're also on Twitch. Hit us up at Boom 1069 SVG. Got some messages for you quickly before we get back into our discussion. We got to let you know what you can get at District Stairs. You can get your high quality engineered hardwood flooring, your hardwood flooring, luxury planks, laminate flooring, a wide assortment of stylish trims, your wall floor tiles, and of course, your tiling related products. District Stairs also has your railings, post pickets in metal, stainless steel, wood, and glass for your staircase. Remember, they have free shipping available during the month of August to SVG. Contact them today on WhatsApp at 289-200-7649, or you can hit them up on their website, districtstairs.com, or search for them on Facebook. Quickly got to let you know what you can get from Max Pizza. You can place an order with Max Pizza and they will ensure that it is delivered to you right here on the mainland. Place your order by 10 p.m. Thursday via WhatsApp. You can call or send a message. The number is 289-1854 between 10 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Or you can call the restaurant at 458-3474 between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. All orders will be delivered by a Max representative the following Friday at the Wharf for 5:30 p.m. upon arrival. All right, we have our guest joining us this morning, Dr. Thompson. Good morning to you, Dr. Thompson.
Good morning. Are you hearing me?
Yes,
Well,
we're hearing you.
Dan, Doc is no longer a guest.
He's
a
a part of the crew now.
You know, I tell you, Bing, I could see how tough it is for you. You know, for me, who have a lot of things to do, often starting off the morning and so forth. It's a pleasure, but it's usually tough for getting other things.
Bing has
done
nothing
during the
else
day.
to do. It's not tough for Bing. Bing has absolutely nothing else to do.
No. I imagine it sometimes sets me off on a good start because being in a good mood and the feeling that I am part of the education process. But at the same time, it does affect my other activities and other duties and so forth, as you can imagine. Calls that keep coming in all the time from all sorts of I have to skip them, you know.
We appreciate you being here, though.
I tell you, it is a pleasure. I could imagine there were things that I wanted to talk about, but as usual, I know that the discussion is guided by you and other events and other calls that come in. And so, you know, let's go right into it. And so, you want to ask me a question?
I hope you heard the call this morning with one Alexander. What Alexander was he again?
Vincent? Is it?
Vincent Alexander, in which he spoke about an episode. And I said, you know, I know you're a member of the Health Services Committee on COVID, and you should be able to give some answers as it relates to what he spoke about this morning.
Yes, I hope I can. Now, I want to start off by saying, there's an old Vincentian saying, when your neighbor's house is on fire, what do you do, Bing?
But yeah.
Yes. Now, I want to explain that there have been certain events that's been going on in Trinidad. We've gone through that over the last couple of days, and we've resolved the issue that those 341 persons died from the virus. They didn't die from the vaccine. We would have heard that in Barbados, there were some new cases of the Delta virus. We would have been tracking over the last 3 weeks plus what's been going on in the BVI. And I tell you, it's sad because we have a lot of friends and so forth up in the BVI, a lot of them. But what's taking place there? There's now 23 deaths, 3 in one family. There was a day when there were 6 deaths just over the weekend. Over the weekend, they vaccinated 800 persons. Nurses who are so resistant are going there to now become vaccinated. What is it? Their total is now 2,210, just barely under what St. Vincent the Grenadines is there, and it's expected they will surpass St. Vincent today. So I only bring that out, and there's a suspicion that it is as a result of the Delta virus. They haven't been able to confirm. They've sent samples down to the BVI to verify, and they expect those results back imminently to tell them. But whether it's Delta or what, I mean, basically, they're now on a curfew, as you know, from 7 p.m. until 5 a.m., and all the usual other measures, restaurant takeouts and all that sort of thing. But I want to make it clear that I've said this before, it's been reinforced by other callers like Lansford Weeks, that our first line of defense, especially in a country that has very low vaccination rates, is what is taking place at our borders, the seaports, yachting sector, and in terms of the airport. And so the protocols at the airport are really stringent. Now, about on the 11th, if everybody recalls, there was a front page in a newspaper of the Searchlight that says, dangerous scam. Vincentians paying up to $1,500 for fake COVID vaccine certificates. We even had several persons who were, I think, I can't say they were convicted, but they were charged in relation to issues related to the Grenadines and so forth, whether it's Canawan or Mustique or what, that could be verified. But what is important is that there's been a flood, a lot of persons who are vaccinated applying to do home quarantine. A lot of persons who've been applying to do home quarantine, and it has been overwhelming the system. Why? It isn't a simple matter of they applying and somebody getting back to them and telling them yes. It is a matter whereby the place they're going to be at home, someone has to go visit that home. Someone has to investigate to see if it's suitable. And guess what? They've been finding out that other people are living at those homes. When people are saying they are going to be living alone, it may be a basement, yes, but many of them, there's no such thing. They're going to live with families. And it has created a problem that the amount of resources to verify that has grown so tremendously that it has overwhelmed that department, I would say, in my book. And last week, there were articles in the newspaper by the CMO indicating they were going to suspend the process of home quarantine on a temporary basis. And I think this message came out of cabinet from the Prime Minister as well, that they were going to suspend the program. I don't know how far that publicity went. I think it should have gone the distance, but some persons would have been caught in the shuffle in relation to this. But they've had to suspend, I imagine. Now, I'll tell you the truth, I like the program. I think it is an incentive, but it doesn't seem to have been a big incentive for people to be vaccinated. I do believe travel and so can be an incentive, but it hasn't been a great one for persons here who might want to travel. For the sailors, yes, but in general, other people, they say when you cross that bridge, they will vaccinate at that time. And I understand that. But for persons coming in, unfortunately, because of protocols, now listen to this. Somebody coming from Barbados has to have a 72-hour test, a test done up to 3 days before the departure of the flight. And then on arrival here in St. Vincent, bing, they are tested again. They're tested again. And those results usually, the system now, the sophisticated equipment they have, it will normally take less than 48 hours to get the test results back. Why? Bing, we've had situations where a person comes with negative tests and the first test that they get shows positive. There was somewhere at the airport, there was some indiscreet, they didn't have their mask on, they didn't do this, they shook hands, whatever, and they picked up the virus. And usually the virus lasts 2 to 5 days.
You lost Doc?
You lost me? Hello? You lost me?
No, he's still with us.
Did you? I think I'm still with you.
Bing, you hearing Doc? Everyone is hearing Doc.
Huh?
Bing has dropped out.
Bing has dropped out. That's what you say. Well, listen. So what I was saying was that between getting your
Yes, I'm hearing him now. Sorry.
getting your 3-day test 3 days before you travel, and the day you travel and arrive in St. Vincent, there is a small possibility, a risk, that you may be picking up the virus. The virus starts to show symptoms between 2 to 5 days. So on arrival to St. Vincent, and I know people criticize, we retest the person. And those retesting on arrival at the airport has to be sent to the lab, and we tell the person whether you're going to be quarantined at home or quarantined at a hotel, you have to wait for your test. Now, because the home quarantine has been suspended, they have to go to a hotel. Now, in addition, the taxi drivers, the designated taxi drivers and the designated hotel are lined up. But at the airport, we haven't done so well with the taxi drivers. There are 7 taxi drivers. I think an 8th one may have just gotten his first dose, but there are 7 taxi drivers who are vaccinated. Overall, there are close to about 40 taxi drivers in the country, registered taxi drivers who are vaccinated. Now at the airport, I got to tell you the facts. There are 50 taxi drivers at the airport, of which 7, in other words, we're talking about a 16, 17% vaccination rate at the airport. You know what I mean? Which is low. But they are the only ones who normally should carry. But we do allow unvaccinated taxi drivers to carry the persons, because every taxi driver has been trained in the protocols. But more and more, I got this from Kingsley De Freitas, that people are coming in and requesting a vaccinated taxi driver. This is the trend. This is what's going to happen.
Doc, it's not that people are coming in. It is that the protocol are saying
yes,
you must go with the vaccine taxi driver. It's not the protocol. It's not people are asking.
Let me clarify what the individual is saying. They cannot go with someone who is from a home. Like, remind me, did the caller say he was a taxi driver?
No. He said
right.
A family member. He was standing there with his vaccination card in hand to say, "I am vaccinated." Right.
Yes, but here's the point. Let's make a distinction. Let's make a distinction. I want to make a distinction between a vaccinated taxi driver, an unvaccinated taxi driver, and a person who comes from a relative who is whether vaccinated or unvaccinated. They don't want the relative to take the person. And I know that would be expedient, but we had serious problems, and I hope I don't bring up our ants this, when the sailors came in. We had people, relatives picking them up, but they did not go to any place to quarantine. They stopped off, and so it was a risk. It was a security risk. That's when we introduced that court order. You must do this and so forth. Before there wasn't that court order. So we introduced that court order indicating that you must do this. But whether you're vaccinated or you're unvaccinated and you are a relative and you want to pick up your person, you want to vouch that you will take that person to the hotel, they're not going to allow that. They either will want a vaccinated taxi driver, preferably, or an unvaccinated taxi driver who's been trained, so that the increased demand for the vaccinated taxi driver will essentially bring more taxi drivers on board to be vaccinated, or there has to be a full mandate. So the protocol, as has been said, and as Jomo would express and there hasn't been a full mandate that healthcare workers must be vaccinated, or a taxi driver must be vaccinated, or this person or that person.
What should the person do who wants to comply? The traveler. The Kingsley is not there. If Kingsley comes on with something, he doesn't go into work today, what will happen to all the travelers coming in?
They will be able to go with an unvaccinated taxi driver. Yes. Because listen, and I know it might sound strange, but the persons would have been trained. The persons would have been trained in the various protocols of how to sanitize. Now, as a relative, you may suspect that the taxi driver has not sanitized his car. He hasn't washed his hands. He hasn't done all those things. But because of that training, they have. And I could vouch.
So you're saying that persons do not have to get vaccinated, that they could just sanitize and they'll be okay. So then the van drivers do not have to be vaccinated then.
Well,
they can just
put it this way. At this stage, we have not imposed any mandatory aspect. We've been recommending that these individuals do this. And I know Stephen and maybe yourself have been coming around to this whole debate about mandate and whether the drug is gone through emergency use authorization, whether it's been fully approved and all those other things. But whether even last year, taxi drivers who were trained, fully trained in the protocol of how to carry passengers were able to do so. And then it's only been this year that we have been able to introduce vaccination. It's only been in February, March, we've introduced vaccination, but all throughout 2020 when sailors came through and so forth with it. So, you may have a point that the unvaccinated taxi driver is not the best, and that if a relative who is vaccinated chooses to carry the passenger, that may be better. But that is not allowed because on average, the issue is not so. The taxi driver who is vaccinated or unvaccinated when they return, they have to give a report of what their route was like, whether they stopped off anywhere. That whole contact tracing and so forth protocol kicks in. They have to give a report. If the relative is going, you're not getting any report back. So if they stop off by a bar or a phone call comes in to that relative that, come here over here quickly because something is going on. I want to see my son. The mother wants to see his son or his daughter. They may divert. There's no obligation. But the taxi drivers, even though they haven't gotten vaccination, they're obliged as being part of the designation and so forth to really go through. Now, I want to totally agree. We have to have a lot more taxi drivers vaccinated.
I don't think that you're doing a good job at our borders then, Doc.
Yeah. Well, but
if you can't get the taxi drivers to comply, then
I'll tell you something. Listen, do you know one of the biggest threats in many places the nurses. I tell you the truth, we have low vaccination rates in nurses. We have low vaccination rates in a number of other professions. We see a number of hotels, like in the Grenadines, where vaccination rates have gotten up to almost 100%. And others, it's lower. I'm shocked, in the BVI, they're having a cruise ship coming in this week with just fully vaccinated persons, but they will put in a lot of protocols to keep those vaccinated. CDC has put out a level 4 warning on the BVI. A level 4 warning on the BVI. You know what that is? They're telling people don't go. I'd be surprised if that cruise ship actually arrives because of level 4 warning. But the issue is that the drive has to be far more persons vaccinated. You could understand, Bing, the challenges that we have with 6 or 7 taxi drivers at the airport vaccinated. On that day that this caller relative came in, there was only one vaccinated taxi driver. I understand. We got to give you the truth and the facts. There was only one there at the time. But and there are persons who come in and say, I must have a designated, a vaccinated taxi driver, and I want to wait until that one comes back. And I'm saying even before they pick up another passenger, they would go through the protocols of sanitization and so forth, because they know and they understand how to do it. That it's not just a matter of being vaccinated alone for now. It is also the process of sterilizing your vehicle and so forth and things like that. So the challenges of the issues at our borders is that, one, we have temporarily suspended the home quarantine program because it was getting to be dangerous. It was getting to be dangerous in view of what's going on around us. Houses on fire around us, we're wetting ours. And at the same time, in terms of allowing relatives, whether vaccinated or not, to do that particular work, as inconvenient as it might be, I want everybody to be patient. That person encourage other who's relative, encourage other people to be vaccinated, please. I saw, Dr. Richards has commented on that call I'm making, that each one who's vaccinated, try and get 2. Well, on Jomo's program there, when Anicia was there, she said, or may not have been there, maybe in writing, a post afterwards, that each unvaccinated person must try and get 2 persons not to vaccinate. I should have mentioned that. But the countermeasures that are taking place, Bing, are tough. In the United States, you would believe it. If you see Scalise, one of the most ardent right-wing politicians who was criticizing, calling vaccines the biggest scam out, he went and got vaccinated yesterday. There's GOP senators, governors, all sorts of people who are now getting vaccinated, who once told people don't become vaccinated. This is happening across the world. This Delta virus is bad. The Delta virus is bad. I am pretty sure the Delta virus is in the BVI. The Delta virus is in Barbados. It's the Brazilian one which is Gamma in Trinidad, and we have to be very careful. Now, we could have an open door policy and just allowing people to come in, relatives pick them up. You could stop off at the supermarket, stop off at Massey to pick up some groceries, stop off at the bank, at the ATM, stop off here, there, and everywhere. But it's only going to create a greater problem for us. And we're asking people.
I get you, but I think you're making excuses for stupidness. You got to mandate that all hotel associated workers be
Yeah. I sent you the protocol, right? I think I don't know if you received it. Bing's frozen again. I don't think it is. Let me say this. From a practical point of view, if there was 20 or 30 persons who were vaccinated, who were taxi drivers, I don't think this would be a problem, right? In other words,
but who's affected in this case? The traveler. The traveler is affected.
The traveler is affected.
The traveler is being inconvenienced. as a
Yes.
result of you people not doing your job and putting things in place. So why should I pay for stupidness? Why should I pay for stupidness such as system breaking down, computer crashing? Now I'm being only one taxi driver is fully vaccinated. So therefore, I have to wait.
No. It's not one. It's 7. Listen.
You make excuses for stupidness, though.
Listen, Bing. Let's get the facts straight. And I said to you already, there's 7 taxi drivers at the airport who are vaccinated, not one. And there may have been one on that.
One fully vaccinated, correct?
No, 7 fully
vaccinated.
Yeah, 7 fully vaccinated taxi drivers at the airport. And but that's still small. You are right.
7 out of how many? 7 out of how many?
Bing,
50 something?
Bing, out of 50. So Bing, let us make a joint appeal. Let's make a joint appeal. I think what you really want to say is the government should make it mandatory. That taxi drivers.
I've said it.
I know you said it. So guess what? Let both of us make a cry out now, and let's also do 2 things. Let us appeal to the taxi drivers, those who have been told that it's their choice, it's their God-given fundamental right to choose. I want you and I right now, and Daniel, let us all appeal to the taxi drivers for the sake of the passenger. Please go out and vaccinate. Please. And I'm hoping you will join me and endorse this. Now we could go on to make.
It is unfair to the traveler, Doc.
Doc, I have a question. I just want to get one question in, guys. Okay. You were saying that the drivers are trained to carry these travelers. Okay.
Yes, there's a list. There's a list there.
How do you ensure though that they're actually reporting accurately?
In terms of their own pledge, and in terms of what they're doing, their eyes and their ears all around St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We don't track them. We don't have an electronic device. We don't have a system like on your phone.
So then it's like just a word of mouth thing, and you just trust that they're going to report accurately.
No, it's not so much a word of mouth. But listen, for sure. But listen, let me tell you something.
Hold on. That's a basic thing. That's an app. You put an app on each of the
so simple.
That's as basic as you get.
Listen, let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. In terms of a taxi driver compared to an ordinary citizen,
right,
who is not going to come back to the airport, I'm saying it's been a good system. We've not had any failures with this particular system. The taxi drivers go and they do their job, they drop off the thing. I am confident that's taking place. I will not put the designated taxi drivers down, that they have gone beyond their bounds. I won't put it down. Now, do I have evidence, all the evidence of that? No, I don't think. I don't. And so in terms of having proof, I don't think that is where the effort has to be. I think the effort has to be on getting more taxi drivers vaccinated as opposed to...
Yeah, but Doc, think about it this way. Let's say that we, for example, Bing's idea about this app, which that's the simplest thing, I think. It can then possibly allow for persons to pick up their family members and then take away some of the heavy costs that are attached to flying back home.
What do you mean? So you mean, you temporarily have somebody, so you track them, and as soon as they reach home,
people are using apps in other islands for quarantining, for getting from the airport to their destination, etc.
Yeah, but I will have to say these things could possibly be examined, but I believe that is not the issue. We have not had a problem with taxi drivers not complying with that thing. It's a good question, Daniel. The big problem is having more taxi drivers vaccinated. I think sometimes we try to hit the wrong target. And so putting in the app and this, that, to make sure that these taxi drivers who could be distrusted, I trust Kingsley De Freitas to go and do a good job. You know what I mean? I don't know, Bing. But I don't believe that is the issue. And we could divert to deal with that issue first. But the other issue that now getting other people, Daniel, you come out, pick up somebody, and you give us your phone number, we tracking you and all. It starts bringing in all this thing about chip and all that kind of thing. I don't believe that people will go there. There are people who will. I don't think that enough individuals support that.
It's a burden on people. It's expensive. You're already staying in a hotel. You have to pay taxi. It's a lot of spending that people have to do. So why not take away some of those burdens?
I'll tell you something. The home person who is the relative, the brother, the thing, they are not the best risk to take. We've gone through a lot of experience with this last year. We had a lot of relatives who were picking our brave sailors who had to stay out on the ship for a long time. And many of them, they stopped off at a bar. They say, man, same as ain't on a COVID, man. That's just over other places. And we did not get the best job from home person. So this is a very tight system. And I know it might come across as being expensive, having to take a taxi and so forth. I appreciate what you're saying. But I think the ultimate thing is that if a breakout starts in St. Vincent, it's going to be even more super expensive.
I agree. Well, let me ask you a question, Doc. What if I, as a traveler, turns up in the airport in Barbados and being told that in order for me to come home, that I have to have a hotel booked for 2 days. I don't have the money to book that hotel.
There are some, you know something, there are some provisions and so forth that can be taken. I don't have those details. When the sailors were coming back and other individuals, there was a similar sort of thing just after we introduced that program. And you remember a number of people were protesting and saying they didn't have the money. The systems were put in place, but it wasn't a system that everybody could utilize. They had to be means tested and so forth. So there is some system in place. I can't really comment on it because I don't have all the details. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have all the details to talk publicly about it today. But I think that those are things that certainly can be explored because there are going to be persons who really won't have that money. And I understand that. But the ultimate thing about wetting your house when your neighbor's house is on fire is an issue that we got to do triple things. We got to get our vaccination rate up, but at the same time, we have to protect our borders. You make the point, our borders may not be 100% ironclad because of what you're seeing, but I want to say that the taxi drivers have been trained. They've been doing this. They know this. And I'm not sure if we need an app right now to track the taxi drivers. I fully believe, and there's a great idea, Daniel, but I'm not sure. I think that is a diversion. We need you, everybody, to make that appeal to the taxi drivers today, that they need to come out and get vaccinated, man. You know what I mean? And I can't say it any better than that. I for the Taxi Drivers Association at Arnesville Playing Field. We delivered a talk to them, and I could see that many of them, you know, some of the questions that one of them was asking is, what about the Wuhan lab? Tell us the reason, whether it is lab or thing. I understand those questions too. But I think, yes.
All right. Can I please do a quick station ID and come right back with some calls? All right. I need to do that very quickly. We're coming right back with more right here on OMG in the morning.
Here we go. Boom Summerfest is on. Are you ready? The biggest songs of the summer in a head-to-head battle. Every shift, every day.
Never stop if you want to be on top.
Vote for the biggest song of the summer. Vote for the biggest artist of the summer. The toughest mic men and the biggest DJs in SVG. Playing all the party anthems and hits all day and all night.
No face, fat, baby, tap in.
We turn up the heat.
Tap in.
Talk English, Spanish, and French.
Who let the dogs out?
Let the dogs out. Let the
play the best dance hall, hip hop, and soca in the Boom Summerfest. Who will rule the summer with the biggest party anthems? The Boom Summerfest is on.
Kilometer.
Gone for a reason. Yeah, yeah, man, and that I feel live. When me say live, me mean live.
We all got one love to live.
Yeah. World things.
Raise a glass to a winner. Millionaire club, them put me in a. Work hard for everything, nothing I give them many nights without no dinner. Been a dream big without the pillar. Me coulda take up, but on a but me pre the picture bigger. The richest companies me want feed. I know a champion, me I used to watch me liver dancing like me in a thriller. All who a say me I put no for see my check me stats. I know me are the realest. Put some liquor on the ground. To my friend them where reside no underground. Look good, I know the blessings that come down. We spending millions of fun. Them we hotter than the sun. Better them have me up than try to bring me down. When we driving through my scheme. When them see me, them see a hero. The ones who switch up on your people evil. Never don't, never believe you. Never know your struggles are from zero. I watch you royal for sugar that deal you.
I see the change finally came my way. When I look where I'm coming from, where I am today. Through my struggles and pain, Lord, you finally made a way. Now she'll pay for my real flags, pay for my pain. You better know that I'm a born winner. Oh yeah, I'm a born winner. Oh yeah, I'm a born winner. Born to win.
Hungry God alone me fear. Tell them to just shine for me here. That would have done, but if them deaf, them a go here. This year I feel me here. If you don't like me not here. Ready for the road now, feel the gearbox full of gear. Big up the youth and from the streets. We are wash the car, them just eat. Me know the struggles me, I come from dirty feet. But God just cover me like shit. Oh, me survive, them can't believe them as the pressure bus fight. Me don't even leave.
Now I feel change finally came my way. When I look where I'm coming from, where I am today. Through my struggles and pain, Lord, you finally made a way. Now she'll pay for my real flags, pay for my pain.
OMG in the morning.
All right, we're back with Dr. Thompson. Bing is on as well, and myself and Shady, the whole OMG in the morning crew, not the whole crew, some of us. All right, so we're opening the phone lines right about now. We're going to be taking your calls, 451-1069. We already have a caller. Don't stress out, my DJ.
We should get your Mr.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. My name is Luther. Let me identify myself.
Luther, is you calling and speaking to us so formally?
Luther.
Jeez.
Run back it up. No, I was yesterday I tried calling, right? Because I'm trying to weigh in on the whole COVID-19 and vaccination. And I think I can lend my voice because I would have traveled during the pandemic. So I have a lot of experience and some things that I noticed. I have experience and I'm hoping that some of the officials are listening, and I hope that Dr. Thompson is still on the line.
Yes, he's with us.
Good. Dr. Thompson, I am really impressed with how yourself and Stephen would have dealt with Jomo when, in my estimation, he tried to mislead the nation, right, on the whole Trinidad issue. But we've gone past that. Yesterday, however, a gentleman called in and asked a question, and Mr. Alexander reiterated that same question today, and I find Dr. Thompson kind of danced around it yesterday. It is the whole question of quarantine, right, of vaccinated people in relation to cruise ship passengers when they start coming here again. Because cruise ships come here for one day, the passengers, of course, they're going to come off. They will have no time to quarantine, but we, the intentions or travelers who are coming into this country by the airport, we have to quarantine. So it's something that the ministry will need to look at. Now, I would like to retract something that I would have supported Sir James Mitchell on. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I'm retracting it for now and the reason why I'm saying it. Mr. Mitchell stated clearly that vaccinated people should not have to quarantine. because people fly into the country to do business for one day at a hotel for 1-2 days or whatnot. And I had agreed with him at that time. But I am going to retract that now for two main reasons. One is the whole Tortola issue, where they opened the country and people who were vaccinated, they did not allow them to be quarantined. They did not ask them to be quarantined. And right now, Tortola is in 1,600 cases over the last 2 weeks, 22, 23 deaths and stuff like that. The other reason is a personal reason. I was returning home from the US and I had to go and do a PCR test, right? I went online and make an appointment with the CVS store. I went there, it's a drive-thru. You stop at the window, they hand out the bag for you, the stuff, the swab your nose, a little vial so that I can put it in and whatnot. I had to do it myself. Now, let me just end this call, sorry. Right, I had to do the test myself. Now, honestly, I am not trained to do that. I am not going to push that thing all up my nose. So I just swab my two nostrils and I put it into the vial and I submit it and got my results within 48 hours.
Bing.
What happened to Bing?
Don't bother with him. Luther, you go ahead.
Right. So I swabbed my nostrils, and I've heard that from a friend who came home as well as to how they're doing the PCR test there. Now, luckily or fortunately for us in St. Vincent, we are saying that when you land here, you must do a PCR test at the airport where it is professionally done by medical personnel. It was well done here. So I am now seeing why persons may come home with a negative PCR and on arriving here, they show positive. Because here, they put the swab where it's supposed to go. It's just a bit uncomfortable, but it is nothing to kill you, really. Right? So I would like to reach my statement on unvaccinated people must not quarantine. The 48 hours is not bad. And saying that the Delta variant is out there. And I was all over the place. I was in bars, casinos, clubs, whatever. I could have brought that home. So I understand that. Now, Dr. Thompson,
yes,
at the airport, you should not be telling me or anyone that we have to be vaccinated to return home, take all these tests, and then get into a taxi with an unvaccinated driver to go to an approved hotel or approved quarantine hotel or apartment where maybe most of the staff is also not vaccinated. So that needs to be fixed. I know the reason for you asking for airport taxi to transport persons to these quarantine venues. It's for control. I understand that. I understand that totally. Because if they come into the country and I go to pick up Bing, on our way home, I go past my dean and say, boy, let me have a drink. Bing will say, boy, I ain't coming out of the vehicle. I go say, you can't come out because you're on quarantine. But I will go inside and say, boy, Dean, Bing out there. Dean will come out, hey, hug up Bing. So we know how that is. Right? So I think that needs to be looked at. Don't ask us now. Don't ask us to beg the taxi drivers to get vaccinated. You need to put things in place because if I am going to work every day, the taxi drivers are going there, they're getting there, they're working every single day and they're not vaccinated. Tell me what is going to push them to get vaccinated. So unless you hit them in the pocket and say, look, you're not vaccinated, you cannot be transporting our people, then it's when we're going to see the change.
True. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Sorry?
Well, I was going to come in and say that the vaccinated taxi drivers are very, very, very busy because virtually a lot of the passengers are requesting them, but they may not be enough. Going 40 to come back and somebody waiting is not being enough. So I want to endorse what you're saying. It's a very practical issue. I want to tell you that I traveled to the United States about a month and a half ago. And I had to go to a CVS. But I want to tell you that the swab, I had to do the testing myself. And I push it right up in there. You understand?
do a medical because you would have done it before. I've never done it. I'm a layman. I'm a layman.
You told us a cheater.
Dr. Thompson, I have another important question to ask, and I am wondering why is it because a lot of I listen to you a lot. I follow the professionals. I'm not listening to the people on Facebook or whatnot. I did my research and I listen to you a lot at every opportunity. Now in the United States and elsewhere, they are freeing up vaccinated people and people who would have already contracted the coronavirus and recovered. The recovered people have natural immunity. I am wondering two things. Why does a person who had the COVID virus and recovered have natural immunity? Why does that person still have to go and take a vaccine? I am still ignorant on that point. That is one. And number two, I am having an event, the first vaccine party in this country, on the 31st of July.
No. That's hard. You happy for that.
It's sneaking, I want to know. So, the 31st of July, we can talk about that. We can talk about that after. The 31st of July, I am having my first vaccinated event, along with Karen, and whatnot, right? And we are allowed to have vaccinated persons only or people only at the event. Why are we also not being allowed to have persons who would have recovered from COVID, seeing that they have natural immunity? I would like to have an answer on that, please.
Good question. And suppose these people want to catch a taxi. Is it all? Suppose these people want to catch a taxi to come to the event. What kind of taxi?
You had to be fully vaccinated.
That's a vaccinated taxi.
Yeah.
Yes. You know,
but I would like to hear Dr. Thompson.
Yes, I'll answer your question. Luther, I want to say that recovered persons, we found that they're not fully recovered. There's a concept of what we call long COVID. Especially those who are asymptomatic, and I want everybody to Google it to see if I'm telling the truth. This is the new part of the pandemic where people are now suffering the after effect. Remember when we had chikungunya and a whole host of people have stiff neck, stiff back, and joint pains going on for months? Some people still have it today. Well, what we have found is that these people with long COVID are losing taste or smell, and they're having brain fog. They're having chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue. They're having new onset diabetes. They're having all sorts of things. And I've pointed this out many, many times. We've seen in some places, studies done in England, where this is almost 20% of the people who are even asymptomatic. So the notion that somebody is fully recovered is gone. That ain't true anymore. I don't want to accept. Now, a person who catches COVID naturally, would have gotten a severe infection that kills them, puts them in the hospital, or makes them a little sick. They found that persons who were just a little sick or asymptomatic, the antibodies that they develop could be very strong or it could be very weak. And they found that the antibodies start to go away after 3 months. And that's why we've seen, albeit low incidence, of people catching COVID twice. They caught it once and they catch it a second time. So the studies have shown that becoming vaccinated, just like an unvaccinated person, it boosts you up to near 90-something% of vaccination. And that those antibodies are likely to last a lot longer. I am not going to say they will last for the rest of your life, but they're likely to last a lot longer than if you had caught it naturally. Now, there'll be some persons who caught it naturally who would be fully immune. Their antibody levels would be up, but there are too many, a high percentage, whose antibodies will disappear after a matter of a few months or diminish sufficiently. What I want to say is that, remember, Bing, I pointed out to you that a person who's vaccinated could still shake another man's hand because he feels emboldened. He feels, boy, and he could pick up the virus on his hands. The antibodies and the immunity aid coming through the palm of your hands, Luther, and sterilizing your hand like a hand sanitizer. So when you now shake someone else's hand, or you touch your nose and rub your nose and so forth, it can slightly reinfect you. But inside your body are your antibodies waiting like a pit bull, waiting for that virus to try put his legs through your window. And the pit bull will hold on to that virus legs and deal with it. I'm making the case that for now, when we get our vaccination rates up, so it would be nice if we could count all the people who were already infected.
Dr. Thompson, can I come in here again?
No.
I don't think I got the answer I was looking for, right?
I was going to go on and finish. Go on.
In relation to persons who would have recovered from COVID and have natural immunity, because you're mentioning about long COVID, right? We have all these conditions going on for a while. But although you may have long COVID, you at the end of the 14th day or 21 day or whatsoever, you would have tested negative, which means the virus is no longer in your body. It may have caused issues. So which means after you recovered, you do not have that virus to pass on, because you can't pass on muscle ache and you can't pass on all these underlying stuff.
I agree.
So hence the reason I was asking, why shouldn't these people be cleared to go out and just have a little fun or whatsoever? Because I am telling you, I am a limer, right? I lime almost all the time. I am at bars and restaurants and whatnot, and seeing it filled with people. But we, the vaccinated people, who want to have a little event, the protocols are like putting a rope around your neck. So there are two main reasons. There are two main reasons I believe why people here are not taking the vaccine. Is because we were never exposed to what happened in the US, the UK, in India, where we used to contain a lineup with dead bodies and people outside the hospital on hospital bed. Or what happening in Tortola right now, where there's a rush to take the vaccine because of all these, people coming down with the virus. We have never been exposed to that one, and we were never locked down. We were never really quarantined or locked down. Everybody who is unvaccinated is outside doing whatever they want. So I think people who are recovered as well should be considered. The other thing I want to say before I go though, when I came in, the last time I came in at EIA, I must say that my experience with traveling and the Ministry of Healthcare and the COVID Task Force was an amazing one. It was hassle-free, everything from the test, from the online application, from the responses when I send an email and whatnot. But let me highlight something that jumped out at me. I came in and there was a lady who was at the airport and she was furious because the new protocol said that if you want to quarantine at your home, and I know Mr. Alexander raised this as well, right to the COVID task force 2 weeks prior to returning to the country. The woman said that she did that. She sent the email and everything like that, right? Fill out everything, she sent the email. She did not get a response. Well, me, I know how these things work. If I am seeking approval for something, I must get a response with that approval before I know that, yeah, I can do it. But the woman did not get a response, but she came to St. Vincent with the impression that, okay, they tell me to do this, submit this form to quarantine at home. I did that, so I am good to quarantine at home. So I think added to those instructions, they should say you must receive approval from the COVID task force and have that on hand when you arrive there. So all that misinformation and that misunderstanding.
Yes.
All right.
I want to agree with you, but besides the form, they also want other pieces of information about your ID, your travel itinerary, and so guess what? A lot of people are not submitting all the additional information. And so their response is sometimes they say, please send the information. People say, but I thought I sent it all, but they ain't reading the stuff properly and so. But at the same time, I must make the announcement. Going back to your other question, your first question, I am saying to you that if we had more people vaccinated, you would be happy that you had a larger pool of vaccinated persons to come to your event. Maybe because that pool is not large enough, therefore you may be asking for persons who may have caught the virus. Now, they caught the virus. I'm not going to say they were careless. I'm not going to say that they did anything wrong things, but I am saying that they are not likely fully vaccinated. Catching it naturally is not the same as vaccination. Right?
We gotta go. Luther, it's a vaccinated event you have, right? And not unvaccinated.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Sorry.
It's a vaccinated event you're having, I'm clarifying, and not an unvaccinated, as Doc would have said.
All vaccinated is an all vaccinated.
All vaccinated. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, fully vaccinated. Yeah. And I want to say quickly though. I want to say quickly to Dr. Thompson that the request, the event is going good. The request of tickets is going really well, and it exceeds our expectations so far.
Good.
And people,
Sorry?
Now we can talk about some free ads now because it's COVID time. So we talk about some
free ads.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Luther.
All right.
All right.
Doc, wrap it up first, please. We're going to take a break.
Yes. Let me say that some very important questions. I want to go back at that question. Do you know on a cruise ship, unlike a plane doesn't have a doctor on it. They don't have no health department. Inside this cruise ship, there's virtually like a mini hospital. Before getting on the cruise ship, not only do you have to present your 72-hour test that you got from CVS, but you also are tested on getting onto the boat. They do a rapid test as you get onto the boat. Just as if you arrive at Argyle International Airport, they do a test. And so the difference on a cruise ship is going to be different to that on a plane. The plane ride is a few hours. And so by the time they reach to St. Vincent, I tell you, they've spent a good number of hours on this ship, but they're monitored by a large health team on the ships itself. That's the new mandates and so forth. And so there is going to be difference. We have lists of high-risk countries. You come from South Africa, Brazil, or those countries, you're high risk. The protocol is different when you come from a different country like Montserrat, which is low risk. With Montserrat and Grenada, they don't even need, it's on the discretion to test you at the airport. So each place is different. So an airline passenger and a cruise ship passenger are still different. And maybe I'm not gonna win that particular debate, and people should say they treat them the same, but they're very different because there's a whole health team on the cruise ship now dealing and tracking the event.
All right, Doc, thank you very much. Catch you tomorrow morning. Thank you very much. Catch you tomorrow morning. Dan, take it away.
All right, we're going to jump out for a quick break and come back with more OMG in the morning.
If you have thought and you debated about getting vaccinated, thinking should you do it? Now's a great time to get to it, because if you choose to get the shot, we're gonna thank you quite a lot with a $50 gift card for topping up your phone and helping to make things here COVID-free zone. Yes, a $50 thank you if you decide on vaccination. Go to grenadinesinitiative.org for information. That's grenadinesinitiative.org.
Thanks. On Tuesday, July 20th, there'll be thousands of dollars to be won. A lotto jackpot of $66,000. A new home, car, or that college education.
Lotto, you have to be in it to win it.
Next Lotto jackpot, $66,000.
Greetings. This is your boy Luther, the crowd motivator. I just like you to know that during this whole COVID-19 pandemic, we had to Lego some things. You see the handshaking? We had to Lego that thing. Mass gathering? We had to Lego that thing. Partying or the clubbing? We had to Lego that thing. Crowd a man by the bar drinking. Boys on the block liming? We had to Lego that thing. The overseas traveling? Yeah man, Lego that thing. Public coughing and sneezing without protecting? Yeah man, Lego that thing. But But you know we can't let go everything. We must keep something. So the hand sanitizing, you gotta keep that thing. Social distancing, you gotta keep that thing. Boosting your immune system, top up on your vitamin. Yes, keep that thing. But in all this, don't forget the Almighty King, because He is the ruler over everything. So go on your knees, pray and sing and stop panicking. Be safe out there, everyone.
This PSA is coming to you with the kind compliments of General Hardware.
Have you ever wanted something but can't get it in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? Sign up with my box and receive a free US mailing address and shop on any website for amazing deals. Just a few clicks, I can go from wow to wow with great rates, shipment twice a week, hassle free. We even deliver to you no matter where you live. Contact us today at 533-250-1 or sign up with myboxshipping.com. MyBox. You guys
Here we go. Boom Summerfest is on. Are you ready? The biggest songs of the summer in a head-to-head battle. Every shift, every day.
Never stop if you want to be on top.
Vote for the biggest song of the summer. Vote for the biggest artist of the summer. The toughest mic men and the biggest DJs in SVG. Playing all the party anthems and hits all day and all night.
No, bass, back, baby, tap.
We turn up the heat.
Tap in.
Talk English, Spanish, and French.
Who let the dogs out? Let the dog out. Let the dog out. As we play the best dance hall, hip hop, and soca in the Boom Summerfest. Who will rule the summer with the biggest party anthems? The Boom Summerfest is on.
Come on, everyone.
Kilometer.
Are you a person who cares for your hair 100%? Well, you should check out Denatures for the best hair product. They offer a wide variety of chibi powders, cocoa oils, chibi moisturizer cream, chibi shampoos, and Ambuno conditioner. Products can be found at Bowman's Pharmacy, Island Health Pharmacy Annisville, Roy's Pharmacy Georgetown, Union Island, Beckway, Canawan. And for more information, please feel free to contact 1-876-836-7156. For the best caring hair, please check out Denatures.
The biggest songs of the summer, every day and all night long on Boom Summerfest.
On Friday, you want to most people on Friday now. I'm gonna Daniel calling now. I'm just going to give you the thing the man is program go up until 9 o'clock. She want to go home. Yeah, but you get to talk about the national religion. She say, oh, no. We go be alone. Yeah, I'm right. Yeah, okay, cool. She took on, she called you, and put on, she I'm something to eat. So I don't think any number can call it. I tell you, I don't mind if you want to give me a won't refuse it. I don't mind, honey, I don't mind if you want to give me a won't refuse it. Bullshit! Honey, take all you want, don't worry about me. I'm sitting here, having so much fun, darling, just watching you eat. You're looking so tired, I want you to take a rest as soon as you're done. I say, girl, be quiet, you ain't eating yet, I'm a greedy man. I tell you I don't mind if you want to give me a won't refuse it. I don't mind, honey, I
One of those. How the hell you expect me to eat without a fork? How you want me to eat without a fork? How the hell you expect me to eat without a fork? How you want me to eat without a fork? Girl, I ain't eating unless I get a fork. Unless I get a fork, you think I should pay it? You think I should pay? No, I ain't eating unless I get a fork. Unless I get a fork, you think I should pay it? You think I should give me a fork? Reach over for the fork. I need a fork. Okay, pull the jars for the fork. Give me a fork. Bend over for the fork. I need a fork. Tell them we behaving blinking bad. All my friends them stinking bad. We behaving blinking bad. Martel call me the drinking god. We behaving blinking bad. All my friends them stinking bad. We behaving blinking bad. Blinking bad. I say it's all night we pumping and we crunking, whining and a drunking. Pure sunset and punching. It's all night we pumping, and if it's one thing, we love plenty gal thing. Every day we scouting. Sing what? Check out the flow. Don't have nothing, get a pay at the door. Or you can say that your friend is the baddest if you don't have the family looks on the show. When I mash up the flow, don't give a damn about your property code. So when you see me, you know that I take it and the rest my body who bad like me know. Oh Lord, I pray to God that when the time comes to get permission, take it down bad and say, oh Lord, I pray to God that when the time comes to get permission, take it.
OMG in the morning.
Gotta let you know what you can get from the Eastern Caribbean group of companies. Line up for these exciting offers. Nuts and Ram. Get a pack of nuts with your purchase of 4 Village Ram, and buy 5 get 1 free Island Sips. Buy 5 bottles of Island Sips 350 milliliters water and get 1 free. Offer available in selected supermarkets while stocks last. Village Ram, not for lambs. Island Sips, beyond water.
JD,
What were you trying to say?
No, I'm just saying, JD, eat some of that you could find and make a baby of your own.
Shady, ignore Bing, please. So Bing, let's see if we can get some feedback because we have tons of comments.
You know what happened there, Dan? You left our mic open, and I had about 17 calls saying that they were, well, not calls, messages, saying they were here, you know, what that we were on a hot mic.
The StreamYard?
Yeah, people from StreamYard went through the Facebook thing. If I'm all in America,
can't you mute your microphone? Can you just hold up? So you can't do nothing at all? You can't even just mute your microphone, man? He can't mute his mic. Like, just help out the situation here, please. Just mute your microphone. Let's see who we got on the line. We have a caller, man. You're stressing me out. Good morning.
Good morning to all in the studio. Please don't stress my friend.
He is. I don't know what's right. He can't just mute. All he has to do is click one thing.
Well, you need to make the button in the shape of
What? You ever hear what you
mute thing, by the way? Yeah, I wanted to get in while Dr. Thompson was in. Unfortunately, I had to get him on another forum. So this Friday, if the ministry changed their protocol midstream, then I think they should have put in a cutoff grade. So if they say from the 20th, no longer. But persons who traveled prior to that or made bookings prior to that should have been allowed the courtesy to go to their homes. It would have reduced the amount so that it would have enabled them to go and check on these persons. I think it is unfair to say I travel knowing if I come back I could go home And then on my way to come back now, I have to find an extra $700-800 to go in a hotel. I think that it was, a little uncalled for. They should have made that allowance. Okay, those persons would be exempt and they follow up on them. That's one. Two, I really, I think it was Luto Carl made the point. After you go through all of these, to come home, to go through, to then, as a vaccinated person, take an unvaccinated taxi. I think it is clear that maybe they need to split the taxis in two. Those are unvaccinated and those are and label them and say that the unvaccinated taxis can only carry people who are unvaccinated who go into quarantine for 14 days. Because if that taxi goes out,
if you're coming to the airport, why are you unvaccinated? But if you're coming to the airport, how are you going to be vaccinated?
If what?
If you're coming through the airport, how are you going to be unvaccinated?
No, I said, no, yes, you could come. Yes, you could come in with a negative test, unvaccinated, and have to do the 14 days.
Okay, yeah.
That's true.
Right, so I'm talking about the vaccinated person. Suppose that taxi took an unvaccinated person to the hotel, and on its return, pick me up who is vaccinated. There's no guarantee, as I think Lily was asking Samsung, that taxi did the full sanitization and everything. There's no guarantee. The other question being he was asking, being to make an appeal, and that's where I have a problem with this whole vaccination thing. We have no need to make an appeal. The authorities need to make a decision, a hard decision if need be. And I know I get licked, but being with support in this case, you either vaccinate or you don't work at the airport to carry vaccinated passengers, case closed. You give them a cut-off period. If they don't want to get vaccinated, and in order for your airport to function, you need vaccinated taxi drivers, then you put out applications for vaccinated taxi drivers, and those taxi drivers who don't want to get vaccinated walk elsewhere where they're not necessarily in contact with vaccinated passengers.
Because the traveler should not suffer because of that.
Yeah, so I have to wait 2-3 hours till a vaccinated taxi come back. Shipping it. No. You mandate, this is the requirement now based on what's happening out there, that if you're working at the airport, then you need to get vaccinated. Case closed.
They only have strength to sort of people. But the port where people coming in, they can't deal with them. Eh? Well, all you all be taxi drivers and them out, they walk in. But they ain't go out and deal with them. And
the other thing quickly also, this thing, I have a problem with this quarantine. I came in, and I'll give myself an example. I came in fully vaccinated, but I was told I had to stay 2 days in a hotel. I was told in the document I signed, so maybe I incriminated myself, that I cannot leave the hotel until the health authorities release me. That has been over a month ago. I left the hotel after my 48 hours, and up to this day, nobody from health has ever checked on me at the hotel to say, oh, your test was negative.
But you lie. You're lying on the government work. You lie. You lie, boy. You lie.
No, you say myself. I had a relative who
You're lying on the government. I don't believe that.
Could you unmute Bing for me, please? I
don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I have evidence. I also have a relative who came here, who did their 48 hours at a hotel. I picked them up after the 48 hours. They have since returned to the US. And up to today, nobody have ever checked on them and tell them they're negative. So
I know other persons who say the same thing.
We're either doing it or we're not doing it. We either have the personnel or we don't have the personnel. We either have the money to implement or we don't. There are persons, young people out there, if we're overwhelmed, who can be instructed to, okay, this person in this hotel, if test come back, call them.
Put them on the YES program and let it do that.
Huh?
They should put them on the YES program, set up a call center and let them do that.
Easy.
Because you were supposed to be in a hotel all up to now?
Yes, because nobody released me yet. The document I signed had in bold letters, you cannot leave the facility until you're cleared by the health department. So right now I'm incriminating myself because it has been over a month or more, but nobody has cleared me to leave the hotel as yet. And
I just got a message from someone from the Ministry of Health on this. What time is it, Dan? On the same
It's time for us to wrap up and bring Pastor in.
Okay,
I from this from some. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was saying I'll leave it at that now, but there are a lot of inconsistencies that need to be fixed. Because, as you know, Bing and myself, we are fully vaccinated, so we are for vaccination. But there must be proper measures put in place and police. You cannot give people the impression that if they don't call you within 48 hours, that means you're clear to go home. It may not be so. Suppose somebody slip up and I actually was positive, but somebody slip up to call me. But the impression is, oh, if they didn't call you within 48 hours, I mean you're good. It can't be like that. And some other things, but I'll engage Dr. Thompson and others.
I agree with you, and there's someone from the Ministry of Health who are acknowledging. And anyway, we'll talk about this after.
Thank you so much, boss.
Thank you. They said to thank you, both, for the information. I'm sure they would have heard this before from other persons.
Yep, I know a number of persons who said that same thing. All right, we're going to make way for Dr. Richards. He's going to be joining us right about now.
Let's check in with the doc and look at things with a wider lens. Pastor Richards on OMG.
All right, we're waiting on our call from our good doctor. He should be joining us anytime now. So, Dr. Richards, you can go ahead and give us a call. All right, let's see if we've got him on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Daniel.
Hi, Doc. How are you?
Best. Good morning, Bing. Good morning, Citizens and the Grandine Shady. The whole crew, Mario, wherever you are. Hope you're enjoying the little break. I hope I didn't call in too late.
No.
Okay, good. All right, then. I want to do a little throwback to yesterday to begin with. And upon reflection, Daniel, I actually think I said to myself towards the end of the day, I think I achieved my objective yesterday when I spoke about Cuba and our foreign relations. And I really think, and this is how you know you achieved your objective. I got quite a bit of feedback, and there was very little congruence in the feedback that I got. One person basically I won't say he excoriated me. Probably that won't be fair. But basically he said, your commentary this morning was both leading and misleading. And we had quite a long discussion. I think at the end of the day, we ended up on the same page. But that was the initial impression of my commentary. That it was leading and misleading. And then right after that, sometime during the course of that, I got another comment, a salute, that was quite the opposite. Viva Cuba. And basically commended me for my point of view. It said, very correct point of view. And it said some things in Spanish and stuff, which I understood what was said in Spanish. So there you are with what some saying, man, you missed the boat and you went down the wrong angle, and some saying, yeah, you got it on point. And then of course I had another person that commented on my position and thought that it exposed some matters related to imperialism and sovereignty. So, Daniel, I would say, and Daniel Bing and others, I would say that it achieved its objective because what the variety of the comments and the divergence between them indicates that I must have stayed right down the middle without picking a side, and so that was very pleasing. But something coming out of that, though, that is worth reflecting on, And one particular person took the time to educate me yesterday and remind me of how the reference made by Prime Minister Gonzalez to imperialism and the lack of integrity on the part of that imperialist unilateral force that he actually did not name which country was this imperial acting unilaterally. But the person that educated me yesterday reminded me of the nexus between the Monroe Doctrine, the Manifest Destiny, and NIMBY, and I really appreciated that. The Monroe Doctrine, of course, going back to the mid-1800s or subsequent to the mid-1800s, that had to do with U.S. I would interpret it as U.S. imperialism in the Americas, because they took an adverse view to any other force trying to exert influence on independent state. And I think, for example, the Grenadian experience is a clear manifestation of the Monroe Doctrine. Thou shalt not have an influence on Grenada. And they acted rather swiftly, because according to the Monroe Doctrine, any kind of foreign satellites in this part would be seen as engaging in hostility towards the U.S. is a very, very clear doctrine. Manifest Destiny, which the person took the time to educate me on yesterday. I'm saying all of these because it's truly being, I'm not trying to bore people, but these things have perspective and relevance to the current state of affairs in Cuba. Manifest Destiny, which refers to the special virtue, this whole idea of we have a manifest destiny to do certain things. We have special virtues, and our institutions and people, like what I said yesterday, it's a way of life that you are going to protect. This is your destiny. Clear destiny to protect and to manifest and to propagate this way of life with respect to your beliefs in democracy or your version of democracy, your version of pluralism and capitalism, and you're fiercely protective of that. So the Monroe Doctrine and the Manifest Destiny basically shape the U.S. and they have shaped the U.S. foreign policy for over 150 years. And then the last thing that this person educated me on was NIMBY, NIMBY, not in my backyard. And the whole idea, and it has other references and relevance outside of the America-Cuba relationship, but certainly has bearing on the America-Cuba relationship. There are certain ways in which America protects its backyard. And we have seen that again and again in the OAS, what was it with Nicaragua? And, some of it very open, but much of it probably very covert. People doing environmental projects. It's never the CIA, by the way. It's never the CIA that protects American backyard. Somebody doing a sheep farm, or somebody doing it used to be Peace Corps, or it could be, you never know, but the operatives and stuff. But basically what America protects its backyard. So I said all of that yesterday to provoke the thinking, and the variety of comments and feedback. I was very gratified to know that people were thinking. Even a certain gentleman who sent me basically a tutorial on Cuba, and explaining certain things, a YouTube video, and he is a very highly placed official. I'm not trying to suggest that you were trying to preempt my thoughts or shape my thoughts. You just wanted to educate me. So I appreciate that. Nonetheless, my major point that I made, and I got licks for it, is that there is no national consensus on foreign policy. None. And again, I got criticized. Basically, why are you always bringing this up, Pastor? Why are you bringing it up? Should I not bring it up? Hello? Should I not bring it up? Daniel, what is your input? What is your understanding? What is your awareness of our national foreign policy vis-a-vis, well, any nation I pick, whether it's Russia or Bolivia, or I call Libya yesterday, and Palestine. What's our national policy on that? It's been out there. I have read statements of our government to these countries. I have read them. Some of them were in the newspaper. I remember the one in Palestine a year or two ago that gave quite an insight as to how we view Palestine, and very, very clear. But I don't. But there's not a national consensus. So I keep asking, and people get annoyed when I ask, but I ask, whose foreign policy is it? As if I should not ask being, whose foreign policy is it? The statement that I read yesterday said the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And it said we, and we are in solidarity. And we hold this view. And this is how we feel about the Cuban Revolution. This is how we feel about the imperialist, and I forget the adjective that was used that I read yesterday. The duplicity of the people at the north. This is how we as St. Vincent and the Grenadines feel. And I said something that was not taken well. I said, what was the word I used yesterday? Oh, God, I'm trying to remember.
I definitely am not sure I can help.
Admire may have been the word I used, okay? But it's tantamount to admiration. What you admire, you will emulate. And I mean, I didn't see why this was going to be such an annoying thing to call me out on. But people, if you're a cricketer, the cricketer that you admire, you're going to try to do what he's doing. The footballer you admire, you had Luther on this morning. People, hear Luther and they admire some of his things. Other calypsonians and other artists see what others are doing and they admire it and they're like, you do that too. So I didn't see why that was a hard thing. You emulate. But the foreign policy and the question of foreign policy, the reason I am driving this is that I have seen where it is not an incidental thing, and how you relate to certain powers will determine how they treat you. So I called certain names yesterday. I called Venezuela. I said, look how they treated Venezuela, because they have the power to do it. Look how they treat Cuba. Even some of the things that Obama instituted and some of the policies he brought on board, they're being reversed. Set back the time, and they're going to do that. And I mean, it could be that we don't know or we don't care, or that they can treat us in a certain way if they want to. I do a lot of, and let me bring this home, I do a lot of marriage counseling. And my marriage counseling is very invasive, is deep, it's intense. You come, premarital counseling, you come to me, you say you want to get married. I'm going to put you through quite a lot that we go through. People out there, and I do a lot of this. A lot of people come to me. So if you're hearing me now, I don't know that I can take on anybody else. But the marriage counseling is it needs to be very invasive. needs to be very intense because I see it as a thorough vetting. I normally tell people, Daniel, don't put out your marriage invitations. If you're going to come to me to do a wedding, don't you put out your marriage invitations until the counseling is finished. Because at the end of this invasive, intense, vetting style counseling, the person you engaged to or you think you're going to marry, I might very well, through the process of the counseling, we could very well get to the point where you made the decision, boy, I'm not going through with this. So don't you ever put out invitations, before, because it might be egg on the face where you have to recall. I go through things like your core beliefs. Because once you marry, all of this comes in the suitcase, all of it comes in the luggage. All of it comes. You gotta deal with it, you gotta live with it. I go through things like family relations, family of origin, where you come from, who your parents, how they behave, what's their worldview. I dig. Because when you as a young lady getting married, young people out there getting married, listen to me. When you go and get married, it's not just, oh, you feel enamored and in love. I've been counseling for 30-something years. I know what comes with it. I know when you jump into a marriage, then you find out there are other things that come with the marriage. You didn't bargain for, but they're there. I do things like who your close connections, or you hang with your social group. Who are your primary influences and who are the people who influence your life? These are things. You don't just get rid of these things just that easily. You have them before you get married, and when you get married, you're going to have them. So it's better that you discover before you make the decision, I am going to get married to you. Even past relationships, I dig a lot at that. I dig into how you manage and how have you managed some of them. You came out of a broken relationship. I got to know why. What and how did you manage it? What was the cause? What was the weakness? What was the failure? You keep tapping because you need to know. Because once you enter into the marriage, it's a package deal. So the more you know, the better you choose. So this is why I say all of that to say, I know foreign relations doesn't, for many people, foreign relations doesn't play a big deal in terms of how you choose those who you tie yourself to for a period of time. And for many, the foreign policy is, but just it comes by default. It's basically up to the ideology of the ruling party. And whatever they come with, we go in with. And I continue to hold that no consensus on foreign policy. That remains my position. No consensus on foreign policy. It's like a marriage, for better, for worse, but we married. That's about it.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution today, Doc.
All right.
Have a good day.
Yeah. Good day to all.
All right.
Thank you, Doc. Catch you tomorrow morning.
All right, Bing, wrap up. You have anything to say?
No.
All right, we got to say thank you for everyone who was a part of the discussion this morning. Thank you all for everybody who's been with us on Facebook. If you've just been listening on air and you didn't really comment or say much, we got to say thank you to you as well. You got to stick around and continue to lock it down with Boom 1069 all day long. Coming up next is the Shade Room with Jill and DJ Flex.
Here we go. Boom Summerfest is on. Are you ready? The biggest songs of the summer in a head-to-head battle. Every shift, every day.
Never stop if you want to be on top.
Vote for the biggest song of the summer. Vote for the biggest artist of the summer. The toughest mic men and the biggest DJs in SVG.